What is up, Friday Nighters? Welcome back to another episode of Just Another Friday Night. I am one of your two hosts, CM Chuck. Across from me, the man that's been missing for a week, Double A Adamantium Adam. Double A, welcome back.
Hey guys, happy Wednesday. It's hump day.
It's hump day. It's Wednesday. It's kind of like a Thursday, right? Because you're off Friday, right?
Yeah.
And I'm off Friday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow
will be my last day.
Yeah. We're hoping for some early release from work. We'll see if we both get so lucky to get that. Yes. Last week, guys, we didn't do, or I did like a little 30-minute episode. It wasn't kind of a full episode, just kind of me chatting and wanting to do a little something to talk to the Friday Nighters. It kind of felt weird to not put out anything for a week. I don't think we've ever done that since we started. But last week was crazy, right? It was like you were super busy. Very I got super busy.
This has become like the worst month in just trying to get everything ready, trying to get everything done. It's become a hassle.
But we're making it work, right? We're going to make it happen. If we got to give you an episode on Sunday, like I did on a gloomy Sunday or a Monday night or whatever.
Well, you know what? There's only 2 more weeks, and this is the 1 week, and next week is the second week. So hopefully it'll go by better again.
Well, I'm happy to be back here in the pod lab. Happy to be back with you across from me, Double A. That always makes me feel comforted. Aaron B in the house says, hey, my boys. What's up, Aaron B? Aaron B had some karaoke at his work the other day, like inside. I was like, whoa, what the heck? That's pretty cool. So yeah, Aaron, welcome, buddy. What else, Double A? Guys, you can see our ticker at the bottom there. We're letting you know right out the gate what's going on. Jason in the house says, what's up? What's up, Jason? Anthony in the house. What up, Tony B? He says, finally, the Rockets come back home. Well, welcome back, man. Are you done working up north? That's great. If so, I mean, you get to enjoy a warm Christmas then instead of a white Christmas. Yeah, we're here. It's going to be a hot one on Friday and Saturday. Yeah. So what are you going to do, right? Christmas in Texas, Christmas in San Antonio. You're going to be wearing shorts and t-shirts. So I guess it's not too bad. We're not shoveling snow, right? Yeah, guys, I think I said, I announced it last week. I already said what our last 2 episodes of the week were going to be about, so that news is out. We have it here at the bottom because we want to let anybody know before we get into it that we're going to be talking about it. Also new, guys, is that no little breaks. You know how I say little breaks and all that, read the comments? I mean, we may take occasional breaks and read through comments as they come in, but otherwise, once we start, we're going to just kind of roll through
awesome.
And we'll read it. Yeah. Also, if you notice, guys, if you listen to us on Spotify, last week will be our first episode, but you can see our video on Spotify. The video that we're making here will also be available on Spotify. Additionally, before on the Spotify version or anywhere you get your podcast, that version would not include the comments part where we read the comments from you, the audience, live. Well, it will now include that in the audio. You'll be getting all that audio. What is going to be missing, unfortunately, is we have really great intro music that we do at the beginning of our episodes on the podcast version, wherever you listen, Spotify, Anchor, iTunes. That's missing from last week's episode. I haven't figured out yet how to add that back in, but I will, and I'll bring back in that cool music that we have. But it's kind of like you traded one thing, right, Double A? You get the great video and all the comments and the full-length episode for all of our audio platforms. But we lost the kind of cool music, but I'll try to figure out how to punch it back in. So what else, Double A? What happened in the world of pop culture besides what we're going to talk about, which is the major news?
Like Marvel just released the trailer for Doctor Strange.
Yes.
And that one looks amazing. So I can't wait to see that one come out.
Looks great. And we actually both saw it last week, right? Because it was the exact same video that came at the end.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, oh man, that looks awesome. Hawkeye season finale is today, I believe.
Yes,
today.
It was. Yes.
Okay, so we got that coming up.
Have you had a chance yet?
No, but me and my daughter are gonna binge
this
week because next week we got Boba Fett, and then it's Cobra Kai coming back. Oof. So it's kind of like I gotta get my ass settled in because I'm pretty sure we're gonna do an episode here on Boba Fett or Cobra Kai. So,
I'm pretty sure we're gonna probably cover both.
So I was like, I really gotta get these shows going.
I mentioned The Witcher last week, which I haven't yet started, but I heard that it's killing it on Netflix right now. So
that's already out too.
The Witcher?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, season 2. Okay. Yeah, were you a fan of season 1?
No, I couldn't get through it, man.
Okay. I was hoping that we could cover it, but when you say that,
I couldn't get through it. I don't know.
So if somebody has a podcast covering The Witcher, I'm available. So I need to rewatch season 1, but my girlfriend, that's one of the things she's actually been asking about. It's like, when's The Witcher come back? When's The Witcher come back? So I was like, told her finally it's back. So we're gonna probably watch a couple tonight. Obviously, the big news that we had already mentioned in last week's, it was technically this week's Sunday, at the beginning of the week, I did the quick 30-minute where it was already breaking records, but it's continuing to break records, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's keeping it out of number 1 is Endgame.
Right, yeah, which may be tough, but I mean, it hasn't been a full week yet.
No.
So let's give it a full week, but obviously we're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So, again, we have our ticker at the bottom because if you have not watched Spider-Man No Way Home, we suggest you not listen to this episode until after you have, because we are going to spoil it. Everyone's been dying to talk about it. I've been reading so many posts by people that are like, I want to talk about it, but I've got to wait till everybody sees it.
I know, like Saturday when we had our party, it was like, I was asking all the usual suspects, have you seen it? No. Have you seen it? No. I was like, golly, I can't talk to anybody about this. I'm like, 253 million people saw it, and you guys didn't fucking see it?
I was going to say, we were in the group without, right? Yeah.
I was like, golly.
Shoot, I saw Friday Nighter Albert on Albert Olivares on, I think, it was Saturday. And he pretty much cornered me and was like, wanting to like spew all of his thoughts and everything about it. And I was like, whoa, pump the brakes. I mean, I'd seen it already, but I was like, he was waiting because he went to like an early show on Thursday.
I went Thursday night.
Yeah.
That's when I went.
That's part of the reason why we didn't record Thursday. Double A was at the movies on Thursday. I was at the movies on Friday. So we were going to do an episode on Wednesday, but he also had some other family obligations. And so, yeah, it was like, we just...
It was not going to happen.
Yeah, we were looking like, oh, man, I was seeing him Saturday night, too, but it wasn't in a scenario where we could record. It was like, plus it's Christmas time, guys. We're trying to both probably do shopping still and like wrapping. And so it's just, it's bad. But we got some comments in right now.
Anthony says he's got to go back to Tennessee this weekend, though. So he's not staying here for long.
Okay.
Steve in the house. He says vacation, guys. And then
all
he
right,
says
Steve.
cheers.
Cheers, Steve. We're doing the water tonight because we got to work tomorrow and it's Wednesday. So
and I drive a forklift. So I don't want to fuck anything up.
All right, I just got to keep my eyes open at the desk, which sometimes is a challenge.
Oh, yeah. I've had the desk job, too. I don't know what's worse.
Yeah, but we're happy for you on vacation, Steve. Hope you're enjoying some scotch and some brews for us. Tomorrow, though, I'll probably be back on it for sure.
Rizzo in the house. He said, what's up, guys?
Riz, what up, my friend? How you doing, sir?
He says, hope y'all have a Merry Christmas. Hope you have one, too.
Yes, you too, Riz.
Excuse me. And then Anthony says, is the movie Black Adam any good? It has not come out yet. It is summer, I believe, of 2022. So,
but it's going to be good, I think.
It's going to be good.
I think that... The Rock has very big plans for that character.
Well, not just that, but I mean, he kind of supplying himself with a really good supporting cast around him. So Pierce Bronson there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be pretty good.
But I feel too like The Rock. I think he always had like an affinity for Superman. He wanted to be like.
And he wants Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Superman.
So I think that he's kind of, since they've given him this role, I think he wants to do for the Black Adam character what Robert Downey Jr. did for Iron Man, where it's maybe a guy people don't know about, but now he's like the top guy.
It's gonna be hard.
I think it is gonna be hard. One thing we did not mention, but also in the world of pop culture today, the Matrix Resurrections came out.
Matrix, yes.
Very awesome. Yeah,
probably won't see it today either.
I wanted to see it in theater because ever since I saw Black Widow at home first, I felt like I cheated myself, but I cheated already and I watched it because it was like it's available and I didn't want to read spoilers. So Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was like,
did it redeem itself after 2 and 3? Because man, those were rough movies to get through.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Because I was super pumped up for part 2. Super fucking pumped up. Me, Adam.
I think the whole world was.
We went. Yeah. We actually went to the movie theaters, and I was just like, when I was there, I was like, the fuck happened?
Yeah, yeah,
and then I didn't even see Revolutions. I saw it later, much later.
It was also too where it had done that thing where it was like you already knew they filmed them both and they were going to split it up, and so it was kind of like we got the other one like 3 months later. It was pretty quick.
But still, I didn't even see part 3 at the theater. I waited like very late until I just saw it on HBO one day, and I was like, all right, well,
I think I did because I wanted it to redeem 2. And then it was like, oh, it didn't. Man. You know what I mean? But
I was like super let down.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a trilogy that should have been the best, should have been talked about as one of the best. And it's like, well, part 1 is super good.
Part 1 is still in my top 5. Is this a part 1? No, it's not a part 1.
Yeah.
Is it better than 2 and 3? Yeah, I would say so. It's got some interesting. You know what? You might say otherwise. I don't know. I want to hear your opinion. You know, and I would love to talk about it.
TM's brief note on it.
Yeah, I had some smiles during it, and I was like, okay, I liked it, and I was telling myself sitting there, like, I was like, I think I'm liking this. And I was like, okay, which is cool. But I also felt that way during X-Men Apocalypse. I was like, this is not a terrible movie.
It's not. Okay. There's some good parts. It's just, I think what it is for like that one is because we know Apocalypse, and it's kind of like, ooh.
Yeah, but there was like a lot of other good stuff.
No, there was a lot of good stuff. We always talk about the Magneto
stuff,
the Xavier parts. Yeah. Those are always good.
Very cool. What else? Don't forget, guys, we're not going to do any breaks, so just keep talking. We'll keep listening.
Yeah, so we visited Mario a few weekends ago and picked up some stuff. I shared it on one of our Facebook groups.
Yeah. I love Tony B's comment here. He says, The Rock is a real life Superman. Absolutely. Not to talk about another man's thighs, but he put those thighs up on Instagram when I was like, Jesus, like he looks like, for real, like a Superman.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that dude because he didn't look like that in wrestling. So I picked up some 2 Punisher War Journals. They're kind of famous covers. Right there, with Wolverine on the cover. It's the first time I think they actually go at it.
Get one. Tilt them back a little bit. So you can get the good view there.
I think it says on that one. Oh, here, meeting for the first time. Wolverine and Punisher.
Jim Lee covers. Part 2 of 2. So part 1 and 2. Great pickups, man. It was really cool to get some stuff.
I don't know what number 1 it is. It's number 1 for '94, but it's Judge Dredd. You know, the concept is always pretty damn cool. UK hero.
And it's writing that one?
No.
He wrote Dredd for a while,
He did. Yeah. The very last Silver Age issue of Superman. Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Written by Alan Moore. Art by George Bettis.
George Bettis. Yeah. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers still with Mr. George Bettis, man. Hoping he gets a miracle.
This was something I had my eye on ever since we did our first interview with Mario. He had it on the wall. Yeah. I asked him about that one. This is the first appearance of Death, Lady Death, Thanos' love in the comic books. First Chris appearance, Claremont. Which I didn't know. Chris Claremont creation.
Wow.
Yeah. So
October
I was like, wow.
74.
So
very cool, and right on the cover too. Right? How often do they do that? The character's first appearance.
And what's cool too is like Mario will put, like, if you're not too sure about certain comics, he'll put writing on the back right here, and he'll tell you like the artist, the writer, year, month. You know what's special about it. So
I need to start going through Mario's comic book boxes in reverse.
Right? So, yeah. So again, if you want to know what's up with Authority Comics, what's up with Mario, all you have to do is just message him like me and CM do. And
all the time, man. Yeah, I might have a banner for him written out. Oh, I kind of cleaned up the banners.
But he's there. All you have to do is just message him on Facebook, and he'll hook you up with some comics.
Yeah, go on Facebook, look up Authority Comics. Their logo looks like an Avengers A, and then just send a message directly. You could also view Mario's shop there and all the great stuff that he has available for purchase. He'll always hook you up. He'll always cut you a deal and help you out if you don't, have all of it up front. So, but Anthony says, sweet. I don't know why, but it just says Facebook user and it says nice. So if you are a Facebook user that wrote nice, tell me your name in the comments, because for whatever reason,
we can't see it.
I can't see it. I don't know if it's picking it up from the group. Right now, we're streaming live to our Facebook page, our Facebook group, and our YouTube or whatever. I tried our Twitch, and I noticed we weren't getting any traction on our Twitch, but I think I have some of the settings wrong or something like that, so we're not getting pushed out to the audience we need to be. So if anybody knows Twitch and how it works, let me know so that I can get a lesson from you. Joe in the house. Joe says, and they're back. Joe, welcome back, brother. We're missing you and Lucky's pod, man. We all been on a little bit of a Christmas break.
Vacation.
Yeah, Christmas vacation, man. Y'all been enjoying yourselves there. I did get to run into Lucky though out at the little show that they had over at Atomic Toys and More.
Oh, that's right.
Atomic Toys with Javi's store, so that was cool. Joe says, sorry, getting a massage at Sports Clips. Very nice. Tell them to broadcast us instead of sports right now. Rizzo is riding high still over his victory over
my Brady.
Tom, yeah.
The shutout. The first time he's been shut out. Ever.
Yeah. So it's rough for me to read Tommy news. And also my Patriots lost to Rich's Colts. So it was like, oof.
You know what? His Colts have picked up a lot.
Yeah. And I got brutally decimated in fantasy. So there's that as well. So it's like, I think that's over for my fantasy season.
It's been hard now, especially with all the players getting COVID too.
Yeah, I know. It's really,
you don't even know what the fuck's going on anymore.
It really, really fucks up your shit. Let me tell you. You know what I mean? So, Tony B says they have the best massage. Okay, I did not know. We're not in the loop.
Sports Clips was just a haircut.
Yeah, are they the ones that give you beer? Can you get a beer in there? Yeah. But we weren't. I wasn't aware of
$10 beer
massage and a $10 beer at the Sports Clips. Okay. My girlfriend cuts my hair, so
free.
Yeah, free. Yeah, she'll probably let me have a beer if I want, but no massage though. She's like, nah, you get. But yeah, Double A. What else? You're wearing the Punisher tonight. Obviously, there's some news about the Punisher that came out in the world of comics.
Yeah. So Marvel, I don't know. To me, they kind of backed down. You know, this got adopted by some pretty bad people in the real world. You know, they saw the Punisher, what he stands for, but I'm pretty damn sure they never read the comic. And kind of abused this image. So it kind of sucks that Marvel, instead of growing balls, I love Marvel, but I mean, instead of growing balls and saying like, hey, you pussies can't wear this, this belongs to us, they changed the fucking logo to something different now. I'm like, come on, don't. It's almost like the Starks, don't bend the knee.
Yeah, Game of Thrones style.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. This is yours. Jerry Conway created it when he was like 18. Yeah. I mean, come on now. This is your logo. This represents the Punisher only,
Yeah, and I did read that, like, longtime Punisher writer Garth Ennis, my favorite writer, came out against, it said the people that were wearing it using the logo incorrectly were stupid. And then they even wrote it into one of the books. They said where Frank Castle, the Punisher, talks to some cops and says, like, if you're wearing my logo, you don't know what it means. You're not. I shouldn't be a role model for you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's like one of the reasons why when he didn't want to wear the cap costume, he was like, no.
Exactly.
I've done bad things.
Yeah, exactly. But again, everything becomes politicized. So.
Bad, and so Marvel, like I say, kind of bent the knee, and instead of just like owning this like they should, they changed it.
Yeah.
To, I don't know, something fucking
I don't know.
stupid.
Yeah, he's going to be an assassin for the hand.
Which is kind of like another thing that's like weird. It's like, really?
Right.
Like, Frank doesn't listen to anyone.
No, he doesn't. I don't know. I think that Garth Ennis is the definitive Punisher writer.
Sure. But like I said, this was designed by like an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
I've heard that like the Jason Aaron does have some good stuff, but I've yet to read it, and I really couldn't find myself getting into that much. Anybody else that really did really well on Frank since like the old days. But we'll see. We'll see how I may check out the one story, not this new one with the hand and the weird logo, but yeah.
I mean, he's been everywhere, right? I mean, he's ghostwriter too.
No, yeah. He's been a little bit of everything, right? So I mean, I guess you got to take these characters.
A spirit of vengeance, an assassin.
Right. You got to take these characters on different paths, otherwise they get stale, I suppose. So we'll see.
But that's why I'm wearing this.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
The Punisher only.
Yeah, and I'm wearing. Well, I think I've worn this on the pod before. I tried to wear two shirts twice, but I can't remember which Spider-Man shirts I've worn before on this. But Tony B says Chucky was looking for you, Chuck. Yeah, he's got a great full-size Chucky doll. He sent me pictures of. Pretty neat. I think you said you picked that up when you were up north, right, Anthony? That's pretty cool. Yeah. But I don't know, Double A, since there's no breaks now. I mean, I guess we'll pick through some comments. Yeah. Great part is you guys can join with us throughout the conversation. Like we said,
if you've seen the movie, hey, join in.
Yeah, and if you haven't, you might want to click off now because we're going to spoil it, guys. Now, we're not going to go through it, frame by frame and, tear it all over that. We're going to kind of talk about, what we liked. I don't think there's any what we didn't like, but what we liked, how we felt about it, and even some of the other stuff, like when did you go see it? How was your theater and all that, because that is obviously one of the factors. But yeah, guys, if you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home,
go home.
Spoilers ahead. Yeah, and instead, go watch it. Go watch Spider-Man No Way Home right now. Stop what you're doing and go watch it because you're missing out. It was a treat.
Joe just deliver the spoiler. He said my favorite part is when the Fantastic Four came out.
I guess Joe famously read on my on the group. I had to post it up because I saw all the other groups posting. I was like, oh, I hope nobody. I feel like our group is very respectful and nobody would just outright post spoilers. But I better put it up anyway. I didn't have to take anything down. You didn't have to take anything down, right? I didn't see anything. You know what I mean? But I said it last week on the 30-minute. If you spoil shit, you suck. You're that blows. Maybe I wore this last week. Maybe I wore this on last week's 30-minute episode. Okay. That's why. No, I wore our Alamo City shirt.
Yeah, you did.
Just in the front shirt. But if you spoil movies, I heard someone say they were in the theater sitting there, and a guy had seen it earlier, and then he shot out a spoiler right before somebody came out. I'm like, what a fucking asshole! That couldn't have been in Texas because that motherfucker might have got shot. But it's just like, don't spoil shit for people. That's fucking sucks. Lame. Yeah, don't be that guy. And you know what's sad, right? It's been happening since 1982 when Empire came out.
Empire,
you know what I mean? The famous story of the guy driving by the line of the theater and shouting out. Spoiler alert, guys. But Luke, Vader is Luke's father. But I'm like, what animal does that? That guy is rotting in a very, very nasty ring of hell somewhere. I'm sure getting the old pineapple up the ass Adolf Hitler treatment. So fuck that guy. Fuck everyone that if you try to spoil movies, try to ruin it for people. That's lame. Like you just like thriving on like ruining someone's day, like making someone unhappy. Like wow, how fucking petty can you be? So.
But you know, there's just those people that, man, they just can't wait. They want to dissect the trailer. They want to dissect this. They want to read about every fucking photo that's been taken.
Great. There are forums for that, and you can go in there with those people and chat it up. There's threads in Reddit.
I hate seeing all that shit.
Me
really
too.
do.
I love the joy of, and you know what's kind of funny, right, Double A, and this is definitely part of the conversation regarding this movie because of how big it is and is still getting. But kind of the neat thing about like if you watch The Matrix Resurrections at home, it's like you didn't have to worry about hearing people talk about it in the lobby. You just put it on and there it is. And it's like, oh, I could have watched it at midnight last night and I would have been spoiler free. It's like, dude, come on, like there's
a lot of people enjoy it. There's a lot of people that that we know, like when there's like a big pay-per-view, they like to read all the fucking spoilers. Mm-hmm. It's like, come on, be surprised. Be like the old days. Be surprised of when someone comes out. Or a movie comes out, be surprised. Shit, why do you want to know?
That's great. And I mean, again, to me, I don't believe anything, number one,
it's
until
like
I see it.
Oh, I knew it. Oh, I knew it. I knew he was coming.
Yeah, like you take great gratification in that or whatever. I'm like, are you a fan? Like, do you like this shit? Like, it's like kind of like you just don't really like it even. But Joe says, Chuck wouldn't text me until he watched it, which is true. You aren't the only one. I had to ignore Albert, too, because Albert is notoriously bad at, like, dropping spoilers unintentionally. And I'm like, dude, I told you I hadn't seen it. And he'll be like, oh, man, but that part real quick with, so-and-so was awesome. And I'm like...
Oh, yeah, it's like... I
just fucking told you I hadn't seen it.
What's that boxing movie with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Southpaw. No.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's Southpaw.
Is it? I don't know.
Well, anyways, here's that movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my friend's telling me, I told him I'd never seen it, right? He goes, spoiler. He goes, oh, man, it sucks like when Rachel McAdams' character dies in the beginning. I was like... Oh, she dies.
Wow.
Oh, well, I was like, was it important? Because in the trailer, makes it look like she's pretty fucking important.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I famously had, like, fucking, spoilers, everybody. I have fucking Dumbledore's death ruined for me by someone that had read the book. And then they were like, man, it's going to fucking suck when Dumbledore dies. Whatever. Yeah. Like, this is like when I worked at Hot Topic and, like, they were talking to, like, other people. And I'm just like, dude, people fucking barely just saw the other movie, like, a movie ahead. I'm like, what the fuck? And I remember the whole time reading the books after that and all that, thinking to myself, does that really happen? Like, I'm trying to convince myself that it didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to, like, it not be real.
Hey, Sam, let me cut you off real quick. Jerry's in the house. He says Spider-Man was legit. Gonna have to go finish packing, but wanted to pop in and say this film was dope. Thanks, Jerry. I'm glad you popped in.
Yes.
Finish packing whatever you have to do.
Absolutely. Packing. Where are you going, Jerry? Let us know about your trip. Are you going on a holiday trip? And if we don't see you again before that happens, Merry Christmas to the icon of Christmas podcasting,
yeah,
Gary
man,
D.
It's your day, man.
Yeah, man. It's your time to shine.
Your day more than anyone else.
I know. Double A even hung up a special book for you. You can't really see it down here.
Let me see if I can.
Let's see if we can get some light on it real quick. If you can see it. No, this one's too bright. Yeah. But anyway, it's a Spider-Man issue. Which one, Double?
Let me see.
we can get some good light. If we cut it off, we kill it. You might be able to see it there.
Nope.
No, I guess it's this light that's doing it, but yeah. See,
you still can't see it.
we took a chance for lighting, and it's like so much glare.
Well, it's the Christmas one that you had podcasted about, the Amazing Spider-Man 314.
Yes, 314. Yeah, great episode of Jerry D's podcast. Totally Rad Christmas. Go check it out. But yes, we cannot second Jerry's sentiments enough. So, Double A, like we said, you saw it Thursday. I saw it Friday. I didn't even hear from you until you knew that I had already seen it. So
yeah, because that
was great. Thank you.
I didn't even want to say like, man, see him. That was like the most badass movie. I didn't even want to see that because. Yeah. Right away, you're probably going to be thinking, like, man, fuck.
I don't even like when someone's like, 2 end credit scenes. Stay till the very end. I'm like, I was going to stay till the very end anyway. Yeah. I always stay till the very end. Marvel has trained me well.
Like, I don't like doing any of that stuff. I don't like saying, like, anything. I don't even like saying if the movie sucked because I don't want to ruin that person's, like, image of the movie.
Or when someone says, like, oh, let me know what you think about that first part. I'm like,
okay, oh, great.
Like,
okay.
Like, just don't say nothing. You know what I mean? But yeah, so thank you, Double A. The way you handled it is exactly how we know each other.
Yeah, and so
I didn't hear from him until later.
So Joe did text me, and I think it was kind of late because I think he saw it late. I texted him in the morning. We were kind of, like, texting, like, almost the whole morning.
Oh, cool. Okay.
About what our thoughts were on the movie.
You guys had both already seen it, so perfect.
So we're texting, like, on Friday, so... privately between me and him. It wasn't
not group chat.
No, not a group chat. So
which I did intentionally try to avoid social media, and then it sucked because when we got to the theater, it was packed like the old days, and I was trying to avoid hearing it. So I'm talking to my girlfriend, and I'm like, I
was so scared too because I went to the 7:30 showing, but I had promised I had to make a deal with my daughter. I was like, will you please go? And she goes, okay, but you got to buy me hamburger and chicken wings. Well, I've never ordered food actually at a movie theater before, so I was like, fuck, I don't know how long that's going to take. So we
like
kind of
food.
Yeah, so we left like an hour early to get to the theater, and they made the food pretty quick. That wasn't bad, but it was like you. I was being in the lobby. I was kind of eating in the lobby, and I was kind of like, oh man, please don't anybody say anything. Please don't let me hear a passerby saying, oh man, when he came out, oh fuck,
right, right.
So I was like, golly. So luckily that didn't happen. Luckily we ate our food. We went in their theater and. It was, spoiler free.
Yeah, and it's funny because I left early too, and we were going with my whole family. So it was like me, my mom, my dad. Me and my girlfriend, then my mom, my dad, my sister, and my nephew. We were all going, but me and my girlfriend left early because I said, look, the theater's gonna be packed. Yeah. We went 7 on a Friday, so I was like, the parking lot's gonna be shit, which it was.
It was.
We got lucky. We got a spot up front, but I said, look, I want to get in line, get our concessions and all that, and then that way we have I don't want to miss the beginning of like that.
Like honestly. If it was just me, I can go without popcorn and fucking drinks. But my family can't.
No, yeah, my family can't either, yeah. And then we leave the whole fucking bucket there.
I gotta be the one that has to order because I'm the one that actually looks at the deals and says, okay, let me have the nacho one, let me have the popcorn one, let me have the mega deal one. You know, I have to, make sure we all get a drink, we all get what we want, and I have to read the fucking deals.
Did you get you the cool Spider-Man bucket?
No, I didn't. No, they didn't have those at the theater I went to. They didn't have the Mayan.
Oh, you went to the Mayan.
They don't have any specialty shit ever. So
yeah. Oh, interesting. I thought they would have had some.
But it's like that's what I'm always looking at. I have to make sure I look at the deals to see how. Okay, this one comes with a large popcorn and 2 drinks. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's me and my wife. This one nacho. Okay, that's my daughter. Okay, that one. My son. Okay, we all got our drinks.
I love that.
Blah blah blah. Okay, but I have to be the one that has to order it. You know.
I get you. My girlfriend's pretty satisfied usually with just popcorn and like a soda. So they have that bucket deal, which we got.
Just like,
I should have brought that to show.
But if me and Sam went, I'd be like, oh, I'm good. I'm going straight to the seat, and
yeah, if he said that, I'd probably said the same thing. I'm like, okay, let's just go and sit down. Like, okay, are they seating yet? Let's go sit down and sit there. Because it is assigned seating, so it's not like we have to worry about.
And that's what's great because I told my daughter, I was like. Golly, you should have been there in the
old
early days.
No, you'd be fucking fighting for. You didn't want to end up in front,
Yeah, that's like a day you told your wife or your spouse to bring a jacket just so you can throw it on the other chair. And you can throw the other one. Yeah, and have your purse right there on the other one, and then you and the other person sit far apart and be like, "Oh, these are all ours."
Yeah, you're pretty much like hurting, trying to get in past everyone, so you get like kind of the right seat. You know what I mean?
I hated that.
You didn't want to end up in the front, so yeah, assigned seating is a dream.
Been great, yeah.
And that dates us how old we are, where seating was not assigned at one time.
Yeah, brutal.
Brutal days. Double A, how packed was your theater that night? It was to the full.
To a full.
The front rows.
Yes.
Our front rows were full
Yes.
too. Okay, so our front rows were full too. Okay, so Joe says it was an amazing, spectacular Spider-Man, but I had one issue. Okay, I want to get to your issue, Joe. Give me. We want to get to. Well, you might as well just post it, Joe. Go for it, because I don't know if we're gonna get to our issues any time up front. But yes, also a full theater.
I mean, you can
like the old days, right?
It was that great feel, that just that big anticipated moment that everyone's just like really rushing, really trying to eat, so they won't, hear any crunching or anything.
Yeah.
Like I was like, does anyone need to use the bathroom? Because once the trailers come on, that's going to be the last time I'm going to ask you guys, when you want to go to the restroom, because I'm not leaving this when the movie starts.
Yeah.
And sure enough, everyone's like, okay, let's go. I was like, all right, let's go.
I was thinking that too.
I
was
about
like,
listening to trailers.
I gotta pee. I was like, let me go pee right now.
Yeah, because I was like, it's almost a 3-hour movie. We all got the mega drinks.
Wow, I didn't realize that it was that long.
It's like 2 hours and 38 minutes. It's almost like a fucking Avengers movie.
Good runtime. It didn't feel like that.
It didn't, and that's what was great about it. Yeah. But my kids don't have that same feeling like we do.
Right.
So if they need to use the bathroom, like with 30 minutes left of the movie, they don't care.
Yeah.
I need to use the restroom.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay.
Which is a good thing for kids. If you gotta go.
Go. But still, it's kind of like that moment that for super fans like me, see him, we're like.
Right.
You're already at the end, and it's like,
right.
Oh no, like, fuck.
Right. When I started drinking beer, I was old enough to drink beer. Like, me and your brother we'd go see like the Tarantino movies, and we would see Kill Bill. Like, I had to pee during a Peel It Apart because I drank too much beer, and it was like an I can't hold it beer piss. Yeah. And I was like, see, that was dumb of me. I shouldn't have drank beer at the damn Kill Bill movie or whatever.
It's gonna be like a long movie, but you're not gonna want to go to the restroom at any point.
No, I did not get up during this one. So I wrote that prediction right on our Twitter, and then I had wrote it in our group too. But it was like, this movie is going to be the one that brings people back to the theater. This is going to make crowds cheer again, like they did at Endgame. And I mean, it did feel like that. It felt like the old days.
It did. It felt good.
I was like, okay, cool,
really
And it was so neat because I have my girlfriend on my left and my nephew on my right, and like during certain stuff, I could see his little head turning to me or whatever, and I just put my hand on him, like yeah, like it's awesome, right? Like we're both kind of like, and he'd be like looking like, is that cool or whatever? And he's like, because he's thinking the same thing. I think like, oh man, But I mean, let's get into it. Like, where were some of the points? I think we were probably both thinking about that first big moment in the beginning,
I mean, so right off the bat, it kind of goes straight into where Far From Home left off.
Right.
Like, right off the bat.
Right.
The whole, J. Jonah Jameson coming out saying, Spider-Man is really Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man freaks out. Everyone's just hounding him already.
Yeah.
He gets MJ out of there. It's just a whole mess. Helicopters are everywhere. They're following him.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. And you're just like,
and a lot of this, I think
he's fucked.
They kind of developed a lot of this in the trailers. You know what I mean? Like, they pretty much gave us like the plot up to a certain point. You know what I mean? It was like, his identity being revealed is causing trouble or whatever, and eventually he goes to see Strange, and he's trying to get it erased. And in that happening, it creates this rift.
We find out too, right, that he's not even the fucking Sorcerer Supreme.
Right?
How did you feel about that? I was kind of pissed off.
I did not like that.
I didn't like it either.
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck?
What?
Just because you're gone? I mean, you blipped out. All of a sudden, he still says Sorcerer Supreme. I'm like, that can't work out like that.
Right, and I'm like, plus you're back now, right?
Yeah, like that should count for something.
Doesn't you relinquish the title?
Yeah, like okay, Strange is back.
Yeah, it should be like the Steward of Gondor. Like, okay, Aragorn's back. You know what I mean?
Like Long Ear taking care of this because he was gone.
Right.
But now it's time to.
And then too, like, is Wong that good at magic? Was that in the comics? I don't think Wong did. He was kind of like the Alfred of the.
And that's what I was gonna say. In the cartoon, the Amazing Spider-Man cartoon in the '90s, Wong was like his guy.
Yeah.
That fights, that does the fighting.
Yes.
The
hands-on guy.
Yeah, he was.
And he was a badass fighter.
He wasn't fucking sorcerer, which they show in Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
They show that.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like, I didn't like that part. And then, it kind of sucks that's how you can ruin the spell. He's doing the spell, and, when Peter just kept talking, he's corrupting the spell. I was kind of like, oh, wow, that kind of blows.
And then at that point, too, I'm like, well, maybe you're not Sorcerer Supreme if you're like getting messed up by this.
That's what I was thinking, you know, too. I was kind of like, ooh, okay.
It's kind of like if you're doing math and somebody's like 5, 7, 8, and you're like, what? I messed up. You know, it's like it's kind of meant to break. Like, come on, Strange, you should be good enough where you've got it.
Do you think What If kind of showed like a lot of the bad stuff? Because it seemed like it was going to go What If, a lot of times. You know, like when he had to contain the spell,
right?
In that box, I was kind of like, oh shit, you know, isn't that what he kind of did with himself?
Well, I gotta say that kind of Dark Strange in What If was kind of more badass, right? Like he could do a lot of shit. But we've only had one Doctor Strange movie. Then of course he comes out in the other ones. You know what I mean? But he's doing badass shit in that or whatever. You know what I mean? But this other one seemed like was more powerful. The What If version.
So pretty much after that, he doesn't work, but it cracks. The multiverse,
right, and we get like right away, which in the in the second trailer we saw the Doc Ock arms, so it goes quickly to that. Like I was like, oh shit, like we're in the first 30 minutes.
And when Doc Ock came, I mean, man, people popped, people holler, people fucking pop. They're like, yeah, you know, I mean, Spider-Man 2 for the longest time was always considered the number one movie.
Yeah.
Everyone
Spider-Man
loves
movie.
Spider-Man 2. Everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, they're fighting. And it was funny, right? How he can control the fucking arms.
Yeah. With the nanotech. So that was cool. And let's back up a little bit, Double, because we kind of skipped over a pretty big part. That was a really great cameo before Pete goes to see Peter Parker goes to see Strange. He needs a lawyer because he's kind of being accused of like killing Mysterio or whatever, you know. So he needs an attorney or whatever. And this had been speculated, of course. People were like, "Whose arm is that?"
Yeah,
and
I was like,
"What?" And I was like,
"You know what?" I took it with, you know, I was like, "Okay, cool." He's saying he's not in there. Fine.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I didn't read any more into it. I really didn't.
And not only that, but to me, I was like, oh, that's cool that they're speculating that, but it's going to just be that much more satisfying when I see it with my own eyes on screen. And then we get that big reveal.
And then people, again, fucking popped hard for Charlie
That was the first pop in my theater. Everybody was like, oh! And my nephew kind of turned to me and he was like, who's that? And then I was like, that's Daredevil. Like, you know, Daredevil. Like, that's
people
cool.
pop fucking hard. I kind of had to tell my wife too who he was, because you know Daredevil is kind of not the superhero that everybody knows, you know. But
and now those Netflix those shows are kind of a little bit distant now. You know what I mean? Like
they are. It was a different tone that Marvel was letting them do, you know, compared to the tone that they have now. But I mean, it's just really so cool that. Okay, that Daredevil, no matter what, that series is Marvel canon now.
Yeah.
So everything that did happen in that series is happening.
Which,
you know,
I was always kind of baffled, Double A, because they never made it feel like that it wasn't canon, because they talked about the Hulk and they talked about the Battle of New York.
And that's the thing, because you know Marvel still had control of those shows, but they've been kind of treating them like stepchildren a little.
Yeah,
bit,
and it did feel as though they were kind of, like you said, focusing on like another part of New York, a less superpowered
which
part.
I like it too.
Yeah.
That's the way it's always been. Hell's Kitchen has always been its own little fucking area where Spider-Man's like, you know what? That's Daredevil's area.
He got
it.
And Luke Cage got Harlem.
Exactly. I mean? It's like, I don't have to go over there. You know, they got it here. Daredevil's a friend. You know, well, in the old comic book tales, they're friends.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because, like, I showed my wife the Amazing Spider-Man, that episode where Peter is getting charged for treason, and Daredevil is
nice.
You know,
representing him. Yeah, he's his lawyer. Yeah.
And so she was like, "Well, even in the cartoon?" I was like, "Yeah, even in the cartoon."
Look, he's kind of like the resident lawyer, you know what I mean, in New York and in Marvel.
The cheap lawyer, but a very good lawyer.
Yeah, very good
and
too.
Somehow, I don't know how. But he gets the charges dropped against Peter.
Yeah.
Like,
it was like
all charges are dropped.
Freaking murder. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
But he tells Hogan, Happy, he's like, "But you, you have to get a really good lawyer."
Yeah, because of the Stark tech. Yeah. So Joe says, kind of felt like I spent the first half anticipating the other Spider-Man to come in.
I tried not letting myself go because I didn't want to, you know, anticipate anything.
Right.
I wanted to just enjoy the movie, so I really didn't want to wait for Toby. Andrew, I was just like, I want to see the multiverse, what they're going to do with this whole
how they're going to get there. Yeah. And oftentimes, Joe, I tell people this, sometimes your first viewing of a movie, you are kind of anticipating certain things.
Much.
When I watch a Star Wars movie, I'm like, when a lightsaber is going to come out, you know what I mean? Like, when is the bad guy and the good guy going to duel? But if you do that, you kind of rob yourself of
you're not
the
like,
earlier part of the movie. Yes, it is difficult, and that's why multiple viewings are sometimes necessary and, you know, or awesome. With the second time around, you watch something. How many times we watch something and then we're like, "Wow, fuck! I never even noticed that."
Yeah, big time.
I, you know, to kind of throw a little monkey wrench in it here, but Christmas style. I just heard a great episode of Jerry D's podcast, Totally Rad Christmas, where him and some Anthony and Julia from the Tis the Podcast show are his guests. They're talking about Charlie Brown Christmas. Well, then they talk about the part where Linus tells Charlie Brown the meaning of Christmas, and they were saying that there's a part where in that part where Linus is doing that, he drops the blanket. So it was like, here's a guy that always needs a security blanket, but in this thing, he was totally sure of himself, the meaning of Christmas. And I was like, damn, that's deep. I've been watching that cartoon for like 40 fucking years. I was like, wow. Like, I mean, my mind was blown. I went out and bought a copy. I was like, I need to watch this again. Because I was like, that is so moving, right? Linus with the security blanket gives this speech with utter security to let the blanket. I was like, that's pretty deep. So, I get it. So yeah, you probably did feel that way, and that's totally okay. A lot of people probably felt that way. That might have made the Charlie Cox pop a little bit lighter because people were kind of like, that's cool, but you know. And then it was brief. I was like, I thought there was going to be more.
I was
ongoing.
happy with that. I was really happy with that. You know, especially like Joe said. You know, when they throw a brick and he's just like,
he grabs it. He beats Peter to the brick.
And Peter's like, what the?
How'd
hell?
you do that? Yeah. And what does he say? He has a great line. And
he does. I can't remember because people are like clapping and cheering like crazy when he did that.
Yeah,
people are fucking going ape shit over that.
But I love it because it shows you that this is Daredevil. Like he's not like pre-power or nothing like that. Like it's going on right now. So, but yes, definitely when he caught that brick.
Joe says, should the Sorcerer Supreme be fighting Abomination for money?
I don't know.
It looks like they're hurting, so maybe they should.
Yeah, they're snowed in there over at on Bleecker Street, so I guess that's why Wong is fighting the Abomination.
And then Joe says 2 was his favorite Spider-Man until now. Then he goes, let's just say how great that cartoon was in the 90s. Great.
Absolutely great. Love that one.
And then he says,
except for Morbius, he sucked in that one.
Yeah, he did. Bad.
With his hand suction cups.
He says he's definitely going to see it again. And he said, dude, spoiler for Tis the Pie.
Oh, shoot, sorry. Well, actually, in that episode, a spoiler for Totally Rad, actually, Christmas, sorry about that, guys. But in that episode, I don't know if our audiences cross over at all.
No.
But in that episode of Totally Rad Christmas, where Tis the Pod is bringing that up about the Lions Bucket, they're saying, we only knew that because we got it from another guy's pod, another Christmas podcaster. But either way, a great little bit of lore there when you see, the Linus thing.
And then Joe says, I'm a very good lawyer.
Yes, that's what he says. I'm a very good lawyer.
But man, it was just really cool. It was kind of like, they're doing it right. Finally, this is always what our dreams have always been. Yeah. It's kind of like, this all belongs to you. Why not just grab this guy? He's been very popular as Daredevil. Grab him.
Absolutely. And you know what, Double A, I don't know how you felt at Endgame. And then, we hear that, RDJ is gone, Chris Evans is gone. I was kind of like, man, how is Marvel going to do it without these guys?
I'm actually fine.
Now I'm fine. Because, now I'm like, wow, Kevin Feige's going for it. You know what I mean?
Good because it's like how we enjoy our comics. We go from an Avenger comic book to a Wolverine comic book to an X-Men. I mean, that's the way I'm seeing it.
Yeah, and it's nice knowing that we still have those bigs on the shelf like X-Men and Fantastic Four.
There's still Fantastic Four coming.
But I had to admit, when I was hearing like Shang-Chi, Eternals, I know
we're still digging at the bottom on here, but you know what?
Even with the shows, I was like, were these going to be the new Avengers, and how is that going to be? But man, boy, I mean, and not to say I don't have faith in Marvel, because I do, and believe me, everything has been great. In fact, I was just telling, I forgot who I was telling the other day. I think it might have been Albert, and I was just like, man, WandaVision feels like so long ago now. When it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't. You know what I mean? But it feels like it. Yeah. And especially as we're in the midst
Silver Surfer.
of absolutely, you got to get that one. They got to get that one. Yeah, definitely
big time.
But especially as we're like in the where we're now at the end of Hawkeye, it just ended, but it just feels like, wow, WandaVision feels like forever ago. And so for it to be kind of, the trailer dropped
and now
today,
it's kind of coming back again.
Right. And the pieces, I mean, number one, just the multiverse thing is a great way to go.
What a great way they've been doing it between the show and the movie. movie because so you've been kind of like still following it.
Yes,
it's been great.
Everything really ties in. But yeah, so let's get us back to where we were, which is back on the bridge.
He's fighting Doc Ock, who he's never seen before. He's never heard of him before. Nothing. They're going at it, and Doc is kind of winning. But I think it's more a surprise for Peter because he's like, "Who the fuck are you? And how do you know me?"
Right.
And then when he takes off the mask, it's like, "Who the hell are you?"
Yeah. You know? Yeah, that's a pretty cool moment. And at the same time, his kind of he links up with the Stark Tech on the arms, and he's able to take care of him. He gains control, but then we get that moment, right, which we kind of saw, I think, in the second or third trailer, where the pumpkin bomb rolls in, and that iconic laugh.
And again, people fucking popped hard for
this. It was very, very cool. And then dude, but then them kind of like portaling out, right? Yeah, so we're like, okay, we're gonna come back to that.
But still, you got that little glimpse of Defoe in the costume. Everyone just like fucking popped hard.
Yeah, the theater was really neat to be in a theater that was cheering and excited. I mean, there was a time, one of the Friday Nighters, the Imitation Adam, Tandra, he was kind of making a comment the other day. He says it bothers him, and it does when you're trying to hear it. And I'm not gonna
lie, for a while it did bother me when we went to go see the prequels, because it was kind of like every time something happened, people would start cheering loud, and I was kind of like, fuck. I know it's kind of cool, but I want to hear what they're saying.
Right,
It's kind of like...
Because that wasn't a thing in the movies.
It wasn't.
Growing up,
Star
that
Wars was kind of like the first time I had ever heard that.
Yeah, I can even remember it must have been like Phantom Menace, but it was like people cheered like when R2 came out. People cheered like...
Oh man, when Yoda did the saber fight.
Oh yeah.
The first time.
Yeah, they were cheering like they were like at a sporting event or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, and that's kind of another reason what makes like multiple viewings like good is because you get to go and see it like at a time when it's not as packed. I really enjoyed like seeing Endgame in IMAX. It was like empty except like me and my girlfriend and her boys, because it was like, oh, now I hear everything. You know what I mean? Like all the lines and all that. It's weird though,
because every time I see that movie, I can't help but think of the theater experience. So.
Yeah, and it's like I'm not really that much of a cheerer, but sometimes I'll chime in when people do cheer. And like my girlfriend is a cheerer, so she cheers. But again, once everyone's already hooting and hollering, it's kind of like, oh, you might as well just hoot and holler along if we're at that point, But so then we get back to the Sanctum Sanctorum, Sanctum Sanctorum, right? Am I saying it right? Dr. Strange's house on Bleecker Street.
Bleecker Street.
And he's already got who there, but the Lizard. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's kind of like Lizard is like there, like, okay, pretty cool. Whatever,
and again, now you're really. It's kind of like, okay, now you have to watch the Andrew Garfield movies to kind of know this one is.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't know if a lot of people even knew, I don't know how many, those two movies made a lot of money. They made over 800 million, but they're always considered like the flops of the whole series.
Right. Which I really like that first one. I'll watch it quite a bit.
Yeah. I love the first one. I've always said I think that series has the best Flash. I think they have the best relationship.
Gwen.
Yeah,
I love that they introduced Gwen
because that was the first time they don't like have Spider-Man like being like, no, I can't be with you. I can't be with you. I was like, man, in the comics, he's dating like a shitload of people. Yeah, he doesn't give a shit if he's Spider-Man or not. He's dating Felicia. He's dating Betty
Brant,
Gwen, MJ. I'm like, where did all of a sudden
the
movie's introduced where he's like, oh, I love her, but I can't be with her. I was like, what? Peter didn't give a fuck.
No, I like that after the Parker, because you gotta say this guy was like a nerd, man. He wasn't getting girls, and all of a sudden it's like college hits, and he's like getting to date a lot, and they're all like attractive. That's what any guy would do. Yeah, I'm gonna go on a date with you.
Where these movies started doing that, but Amazing Spider-Man was like kind of like the first one where he was like, I want to be with Gwen, and then even after he promises Captain Stacy,
he still does it. I love that they wrote that in there.
Back,
yeah, because she even says it. She's like, "Did my dad make you promise not to?" You know what I mean? And he was like, "Oh fuck, I do want to be with you." Or whatever.
I can't stand Tom Holland's Flash. I hate his Flash.
Oh, that Flash is the worst.
This Flash fucking blows.
Yeah,
he's not a genius.
No,
but I love in the Amazing Spider-Man because he did start off as bullies, but they later becomes one of his close-knit circle friends.
Yeah, and that guy is a good Flash.
And that guy was a really good
Flash. He comes off like a jerk. In the Toby, it's Joe Manganiello in that first one, right?
But Flash is an important character in the Spider-Man mythos, but I thought the Amazing Spider-Man one did a great job with that one.
Yeah, I agree.
So so now Lizard, it's kind of like, it's cool. It's kind of like, okay, now you're bringing the Amazing Spider-Man. You got two,
right?
Or one, well, two now from Tobey's. Now you got one for Andrew Garfield.
Yeah,
so.
part 1 and part 2, and then you cover in this.
And pretty much he tells him, right off the bat, you screwed up the spell, and now you got to try to catch all your bad guys and bring them here so we can send them home.
Right.
And kind of rewrite, redo the spell.
Yeah, exactly. So he's telling him, you made like so many changes or whatever, the things you were saying or whatever, which to me, I'm like, I would think that Pete would think a little bit like, dude, you deal with like chemistry stuff. You know that 1 or 2 things can fuck it all up. Like, this is like this man's chemistry,
But I guess he saw what he did in, Avengers, and he's probably like,
oh, you got this?
You got this. Yeah. Like, shit.
Yeah. There was a few things that I was kind of like,
I think they had good chemistry, man. I love the interactions between him and Peter.
Yeah.
Those are great. Benedict and Tom Holland.
Great
acting.
They
did really great.
They did. They did.
When he's like, we saved half the universe. I think it's okay if you call me Steven.
Right.
It's like, okay, Steven. I was like, that sounds weird.
Yeah, he's like, that sounds weird. Yeah, I love him.
Me,
he's such a great Doctor Strange.
He is,
he's
man.
very.
He is.
That is like how I imagine him. Arrogant
Strange,
and like.
I hope Strange kind of stays on a little bit more. I like his character.
Yeah, me too. So. Me too. Great character, the Doctor Strange character.
Did you see the? I know we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but that truck that May is driving, or Pete's driving with Willem Dafoe.
I don't remember.
It's like a little white truck right before like he goes into like her little community thing that she does.
Okay.
But they're spray painting Ditko.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah,
I saw that. Yeah.
I was like, that's cool that they.
I watched one video afterwards, like a couple of days ago. After I'd seen it, I'll go through and like see like who has a good like. All the things you might have missed, and I saw that on there.
Yeah, I saw it. Like, right that was cool. I didn't want to tell anybody because I was like, I know my wife doesn't really give a fuck. So
right.
But I was like geeking out to myself.
That's kind of nice, your little moment for that, right? Yeah.
Because it's 2 of his major characters right there. It's Strange and Spider-Man in one movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he was. They say he was pretty crankerous, towards the end. But I mean, it's gotta be cool to, at least see your fucking creations on the screen.
Absolutely.
Strange and Spider-Man 2.
And then so well done too, right?
Yeah,
like done so well, One of the things I had noticed is like, that May works at like Feast or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know if that's from the comics too, but that's a big part in the game.
She doesn't do anything in the comics. That's the thing. So everything that May does, it's kind of like new.
Yeah. Well, the Feast thing is in the games. Like she does work there, like helps out the homeless and all that. So I thought that was really cool.
Because obviously the Aunt May that we know is more like Tobey Maguire's.
Tobey Maguire's, right? Yeah.
It's kind of like the one in the books,
And it's kind of funny, like in the video game, in the first one, the Spider-Man game, they make her kind of like the Sally Field version. Like she doesn't look like that, but like that age where it's like, oh, you're not like elderly or whatever, which I think we forget about that great Aunt May and Uncle Ben we get from the Andrew Garfield one. It's Sally Field and Martin Sheen. I mean, like, damn, that's pretty great, and they're excellent. They're both
they're
great.
Very funny.
They're both great. I love that. We've been blessed with good Aunt Mays and good Uncle Bens, throughout this. I think Joe just happened to mention about Galactus as a big bad that could be out there. He said he loved the Amazing Spider-Man. It's okay. So both 1 and 2. 2, I haven't seen that much. I think was
just too ruined. They focus a lot on that actor that played Harry a lot in that one.
Oh, and that guy sucked. Yeah, that guy sucked.
The Electro, like, this is the Electro we should have gotten in this movie instead of the Electro that we got in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Way better here, way better. I can see why Jamie Foxx came back again.
Yeah, to get it right, to get the justification. Yeah, and it was cool. You kind of wanted to see more,
I did. I wanted to see this one.
More Electro, yeah. They make him pretty badass in the game too, and it's kind of neat. The costume's kind of similar in this one, and I was like, if he's doing that kind of shit, you know what I mean? Like, and they made him like that, pretty powerful.
Yeah. I mean, he even has a great arc in the cartoon. He has a great arc in that one.
Yeah. I need to rewatch some of those episodes of the Electro episodes. Joe says, I have a little magic word myself called please. Yeah, definitely. He says he loved MJ's character. And again, this is the Tom Holland has a different take on MJ.
Honestly, this was the first time I actually enjoyed her character as well in these 3 movies.
Right.
This was the one I enjoyed the most.
Yeah. But she seemed a little bit softer in this one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I haven't been a big fan of her version of MJ. Just like I was not a big fan of Kirsten Dunst's MJ.
No, definitely not.
That's why I said Emma Stone has been my favorite love interest.
The Gwen Stacy character, and she did a great job.
She does a great job. So, so it was kind of cool finally, seeing Zendaya kind of like being that MJ that Spider-Man needs, Peter needs.
Right. Definitely. I definitely love that. Joe says he wanted some Rhino, which is kind of cool that they make mention of it. Paul Giamatti, and they make mention of it, which is it's pretty cool later on.
That's a terrible costume, though.
No, yeah, that was bad. I mean, but how do you make it, right? I mean, like you know,
but still, I mean,
so we get them back there, and we're kind of meeting some of the characters, whatever. So, what was like the next like big kind of pop? It'd probably be the, like,
Electro, right? Sandman.
Yeah, those are next. Yeah, and he's got the costume inside out. How'd you feel about that? Like that was kind of like, and then Strange gives him like the little gauntlet to kind of like get zap them back to the Sanctum Sanctorum,
so they can send them all back to where they belong.
And how did you also feel about the plot point about? Let me ask you that first, because the whole plot point was like Strange's like, oh, I'm just gonna send them all back. I've got this tool to do it, and he's kind of like, no, don't do that or whatever. I'm like, what?
You talking about Peter?
Yeah, with Peter's.
Yeah, man. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you gotta send these back. The universe is fucking cracking. You know? Like, send these. These aren't your villains.
And then look what it kind of ultimately cost him or whatever. I was like, dude, like if you would have just let Strange push the button, then, which also too, where I'm like, Strange, like you need to just like.
Hey, that was a great battle though, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I would have just like whipped him up in something and been like, kid, you're out of here, and then done what I had to do. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of get the feeling that Strange may be stepping up as some type of like leader for these, heroes, because he is going to be like the elder statesman, and he's going to be like one of the more powerful ones, I would imagine.
Big time. Big
time. Yeah, I mean, like obviously the next movie is going to be focusing, I think, on him. So I don't know. I felt what Strange was saying or whatever. To me, it would have been a moot point to converse it with this kid. I'd have been like, dude, no. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing this, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going to zap you to Siberia real quick, and then I'll pop you back over when I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, if it bothers you, but it's just like, what? I don't know. Maybe they could have, I don't want to nitpick, you know what I mean? But, I mean, like, maybe they could have tightened it up a little bit, like, that plot point.
But you know what? I agreed with you, but then I guess at the end, they wanted to show the message, though.
Yeah, which was great. Great. So that was an okay plot vehicle for that.
It was hard to get there. That was a hard way to get there, but they got there.
Yeah, because I almost maybe would have preferred it if, like, I don't know, maybe Strange got called away or something like that or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you could have even had him noticing the Scarlet Witch shit going on or whatever, or like getting a vibe or something, or getting a vibe with the. Obviously, the Loki stuff is going on simultaneously too. Like he's like something more dire is calling me away, and while Pete's there, he's like, "Well, why don't I just do this and like keep these guys here or whatever?" You know what I mean? Something like that. You know what I mean? Because it seemed more like it was cool that they fought, but how do you see that? Yeah, exactly. Again, that kind of makes me feel like, or maybe you should not be Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking, too. I was like,
I'm like, would that happen to Wong? I'm like, Wong just got through beating Abomination's ass a little while ago. He might just be like, get over here, kid. Let me show you how it's done real quick. So, like I said, if there was a minor, you know what I mean? Like, but again, great. It led to a great battle. My girlfriend was even like, man, all the fucking spin. Every time she watches one, there's like a lot of like spinning and all that. She's like, I'm getting kind of like, oh, my stomach, But it was awesome. I liked it. What does Joe got here?
It's a great plot because it drives the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Yes. You're right. Absolutely. And you need that. There's got to be something that causes it, because otherwise, right? If you were gonna put those two in a battle, who are you giving it to?
Spider-Man.
It's Strange for Spider-Man?
Yeah, I would have said Spider-Man.
Really? Mm-hmm. In any one?
But a mature Spider-Man.
Okay. I would almost give that to Strange, like,
really,
all the time.
Because the Spider Sense could probably overtake the magic.
Really? Okay, so that's a lot. Which we kind of saw. That was kind of cool, right? The body reacting. Even he was like, oh, that's unusual. The body, reacting to that. So that was pretty neat. It's interesting. I would think Strange, the magic would be too much for someone like Parker, but interesting on that point. So, so that happens. We get that Strange gets tied up, and then Pete's left to do what he thinks is the right thing, which is in a sense save these bad guys, right?
Yeah, because May, I guess, feels bad for Norman when he takes Norman.
Right.
She starts feeling kind of sympathy, like, you know, and then they find out they die.
Right.
By the hands of the other Spider-Man.
Yes.
And so Peter's kind of like, whoa, you die? You know, like, because you're fighting me?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And not necessarily like murder, but I mean like...
But he doesn't know that.
In the act of fighting.
Yeah.
Right. Right. What did you think about... well, let's back up a little bit because we're heading toward the Electro Sandman scene, but what did you think of Norman and dealing with the, breaking the goblin mask and then... taking on the kind of the clothes that,
I mean
the matching colors.
I was like, okay, shit. He slipped right back in. I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
because that's always been the thing of Norman Osborn at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Was always trying to fight off the Green Goblin,
right?
Until he just embraces it completely.
Yeah,
in the comics where he's just like
totally crazy.
Yeah, I'm Goblin.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was kind of cool. Still him fighting it, and you're thinking like, okay, cool. He fought it. He broke it. He's his own guy now.
Right. But clearly not. We will find out. I mean, I would think that we would... How did you feel when you see him kind of don that particular outfit where you're like, oh, well, it's just like right there. You know what I mean? Like the green and purple with the... Which, I had always... disliked that they didn't incorporate the purple into that old outfit. I thought they could have did like metallic purple. They could have done
really get something good.
Like that costume was okay, but you just make the tip of the head thing like metallic purple and some metallic accents. When the characters are all solid one color, it looks weird to me.
It does look weird.
Put accents and make the accents the other color.
I thought they were going to kind of improve on it a little bit, but
right, yeah, and like even though he could have kept maybe the costume but with the hood on top or something like that. Because see, one of the things I never liked about the Ultimate. Green Goblin was that he was like this kind of like almost like a Hulk. Like he was like but they kind of showed him with like the tatters of like a purple thing on him, and I was like, okay. But I always thought that too. Like they could have done that in the old Spider-Mans, the Tobey ones, where maybe he flies through like some green or purple like cloth, and it just sticks on him, so you get the vibe. That solid color green thing kind of just threw me off, but. I thought that was cool that they, introduced it. He's dressed in that, and he kind of stays dressed in that.
I didn't realize how much I missed Green Goblin until this movie. And it was kind of cool seeing Tom Holland fighting. Because, man, it kind of reestablishes Green Goblin as probably the best Spider-Man villain. Yeah. Again, this movie did a really great job of that. We'll get into that later, but, man, I was like, I forgot how much I missed this character. Yeah. This character is fucking great.
I read some stuff too about like people were saying, like kind of a similar thought that man, Defoe really was excellent.
He was way better than the first one. I thought way better. They fucking upped him up big time.
It was very badass.
This is why this motherfucker is always Spider-Man's greatest villain. Yeah, this is why
the Green Goblin, man. I'm telling
you, not anybody else. It's always the Goblin,
he's the Joker to Peter's Batman.
This kind of just helped me remind me that it's fucking Green Goblin.
That moment is pretty intense, right? When they're all there in the in Happy's place, and he's kind of just frozen, and I'm like, I think even he's thinking like, what the hell? Like my spider sense is going like nuts.
And, I like that part too, because is that the first time they're showing his? I can't remember them ever showing like his spider sense like that, where it's going off like that.
Maybe not like that, but they do make mention of it in the other ones. Because remember, Aunt May kind of like, "Is your spider tingle or whatever?" He's like, "Don't call it that or whatever." You know what I mean? So, I thought it was cool.
And he's like looking. I was like, that's a pretty cool part.
And it's so funny how like so much of the other actors that people kept talking about were coming back. Because I do even remember hearing Jamie Foxx's name, but it's like I didn't hear any mention of Defoe. I didn't hear any mention of Thomas Hayden Church, and like, that's and like
so I said,
awesome.
I was happy because it was like every new one was a surprise to me. So
and they got everybody back.
Came back. Yeah,
I mean, which I'm sure it's like, hey man, you're gonna get to be part of like the biggest
ultimate
thing. You know what I mean? Marvel. You know what I mean? The Marvel Studios now. So for sure for them, it's like, hey man, we're gonna like right the wrongs.
Yeah. So I mean, Electro coming out, Sandman. I mean, again, people popped out hard for them, especially when it was Thomas Hayden Church. And Jamie Foxx came back, and he looks good.
Yeah,
he looks
good,
cool.
Yeah, he looks awesome.
He doesn't look like the fucking character from part 2 where he has like the hair and the
terrible. Yeah, and then that blue when he turns all blue, I was like,
man, I never understood why they made him blue.
No, that wasn't. Like, I don't know what they were doing there, but and I love how they even made jokes about it. You know what I mean? Like they referenced their kind of silly storylines. You know what I mean? What do we got?
But man, I mean, it was like so many big moments, like right off the bat, like big moment, villain. It was kind of like, damn, like, Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, Amazing Spider-Man 1, 2, it was like, damn.
Yeah.
It was like all these fucking callbacks to, I've seen these, because we always said, like, Spider-Man 3, we don't like Spider-Man 3.
No.
But we love Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah, we both have said that before. On this show, for sure.
And we're like, man, so when he came back, it was kind of like, damn, he fit it right back into that character, like, right all over again,
And I like, too, how, like, there were aspects of, like, him and Doc Ock that were still kind of like, we're not necessarily like, you're a villain or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, we're okay, well, let's hear you out, you know what I mean? They're like, all right, Sandman's thing is like, I want to get back to my world, to my kid, you know what I mean? Perfect answer, And
then Jamie Foxx, he's all like, man, I'm really liking the power here. I'm feeling in this world.
I don't want to go back to being that loser guy I was, And it was interesting, right? That I guess it was an interesting plot point to have it where, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is like, well, let's help them. Like that's what we do, right? We're like, science guys or whatever. Like, let's help them or whatever. It's their condition that made them bad guys. If we take that away, then they don't need to die. So that is an interesting concept in regards to that. But definitely dug the Sandman. Again, what did you think about the inside out suit? Was it kind of like, was it necessary? I guess I know it had paint on it, but I was kind of like, is this a reason to make another action figure or whatever? Like,
maybe
have him in the black suit, or their answer to the black suit for now,
maybe.
Yeah. So it was cool, but I was kind of like, okay, he's just in that for like a second or two.
But it showed, like, just again, like when he's fighting Electro, like how hard Electro can be as a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, electricity, and I mean, like that shit, shocks the hell out of you. You would think that'd be more potent,
So he zaps both of them. They get in there, So now it's like a big old gallery. Of Spider-Man rogue villains, and that's when him and Doctor Strange have that fight. Because they're debating
what to do with
Tom Holland wants to save him. Doctor Strange is like, no, the universe is cracking. We need to send him back. Fuck what happens to him. This ain't no problem.
Yeah.
He
pretty cold stance from Strange, but at the same time probably accurate. I mean, because if they're loose in that world, they're going to be tearing it up.
Very accurate, yes. And so they send him back, or they get rid of Strange, and somehow Ned has some like latent magical abilities.
How'd you feel about that? That felt kind of like out of left field.
It did, because
okay.
I was like, I don't know. I mean, obviously he's their Harry Osborn in this universe.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, whatever. I never really care. I mean, Ned's fine. He's fine. I was like,
comic relief.
Care.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I never even looked it up until after this one. I looked up because I was like, man, the name sounds familiar. Like the Ned Leeds, the Hobgoblin. Yeah. But I didn't catch that in the first two movies. I was like, oh, that's that Ned.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because him and Betty are the ones who end up together.
That's right. Right. And then that happens.
And then when they're referencing the best friend, betraying or almost killing him. That's all. It's kind of like, oh wow, are they actually speculating he's going to turn into Hobgoblin and them two are going to go at it? I was like, oh wow,
he's losing the weight for sure.
That's what I was saying. I was like, are they actually speculating that he's going to?
That's interesting. I mean, that'd be interesting because they've never done the Hobgoblin in a movie, so that'd be pretty cool.
Never.
In Far From Home, Ned and Betty are together. Yeah. I didn't realize that the blonde was Betty Brant till this movie, and I was like, "Oh, she's Betty Brant." I didn't get that. I didn't pick up on that until this one. I just knew her as the reporter kid from the school, but when
I saw it was Betty, I was like, "Oh, it's Betty." Okay, cool.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Obviously, what's her name, Elizabeth?
From the Toby ones.
She's probably the Betty that you will recognize the most.
Yes, because they make her kind of look like the one from the comics with the brown bob. And there was always that tension in those movies, but they never really.
They did
in the comics. Yeah. Damn, why can't I think of her name?
Betty Brant?
Yeah, the Elizabeth.
I can't.
Anyways, what is Joe saying here in the comments here? Let's see. Let me go up a little bit here. So Joe says,
right there. Little spot I noticed. They destroy Statue of Liberty and Hawkeye, they talk about the new Statue of Liberty. I wonder if the timeline's the same. It has to be. I mean,
I feel like it lines up almost perfectly because it's by the end of this one, it's Christmas and Hawkeye's taking place during Christmas as well. So that's a pretty interesting. It's almost
Spidey is Marvel's #1.
I know he's saying that in regard to me picking Strange over him, but I just mean like there's other characters that are more powerful. But I definitely agree with you that I think he definitely re-solidified himself as #1 because I would say...
Yeah, I mean, as a solo...
I would say for a while there, I think that it was like Iron Man. People would have thought Iron Man.
As a solo star, straight up solo star, I mean, man, this re-established him as like why he's always the face of Marvel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You can't do this with the Iron Man. I'm sorry, but Iron Man 2 sucked ass and Iron Man 3 was not great at all.
Well, I did see this thing the other day, though, Double A, and it was very interesting because it was saying Marvel's old 1, 2, and 3, and it was Spider-Man, Hulk, Wolverine. And then it was saying their new #3, and it was Iron Man...
Cap?
Was it Cap?
Or Spider-Man?
I don't remember, but it was like a different thing. But Iron Man was in there, and I was like, wow, there's a guy that never would have been.
Never.
I do feel like since, RDJ started as Iron Man,
of course.
I think a lot of people, especially younger people, he was the #1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm sure if I asked my nephew, like, who is #1 at Marvel, he might say.
But, remember again, like in 2001, when Spider-Man came out with Tobey, I mean, I was saying my daughter, it made $114 million that first weekend, which was crazy. No movie had ever come close to making over $100 million the first weekend. And this fucking movie, you remember it was a milestone.
Yeah.
If a movie hit $100 million.
Yeah.
It was a milestone. This one did it in one weekend.
Right.
It blew Batman away. It blew everything Superman did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, wow, here's Spider-Man.
And is that adjusted for inflation? Like, did they adjust that?
No, that's what at the time.
Oh, okay.
It made $114 million that one weekend, which was just fucking crazy. I mean, we had never seen a giant movie do that ever, And, it kind of, reestablished Spider-Man. And then this one comes out. And, man, only Avengers, with all that star power in Avengers, that's the only movie that it couldn't be.
Well, not only that, but you're getting the culmination of that story, right? You know what I mean? Like Avengers Part 1 or the...
No, the Endgame.
The Endgame, yes. Yeah. I mean, that's the end of the story.
This is the only movie that's been higher than Spider-Man.
That's insane. That's insane.
These are numbers that you would think Superman and Batman would get,
Right.
That's why they were so disappointed with Man of Steel when that one only got like to $800 million.
Yeah.
They were like, well, we beat Deadpool. Okay, you're supposed to be Deadpool.
Yeah, it's rated R. Yeah.
No, but I mean, you're supposed to be Deadpool
definitely.
anyway.
Superman should beat Deadpool, yeah.
Like, this was probably the opening they were planning on hoping for Man of Steel. Now Spider-Man's getting it.
See, it's interesting. I mean, like, maybe it just means that there needs to be a little bit of a cooling off period for some of those characters. Well,
or they just need to do them right.
For sure. So let's see here. What do we got in the comments?
This was much better than getting a new Goblin for this universe. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, totally. They went the right way about that. I really dig that they went that route.
Yeah.
To showcase the villains that already existed. Joseph, no one wanted to see Topher Grace come back. No.
Yeah. I mean,
they did a great job of cutting out the bad stuff from those other ones, like with the other Goblin. Remember I always told you that the kid that played the Goblin in that one, he reminded me of the damn Fright Night kid from Part 1 or whatever.
Yes. No, I really don't care for that. I've seen him in. I think it's called Chronicle. It's with Michael B. Jordan.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
it's fine. It's a fine kind of like super movie, but he's not. I mean, I don't know. There's something. It's like Sam
Worthington. Yeah, Worthington.
They try pushing that guy as an action star at so many fucking franchises, and that guy just.
That guy got some good roles. They should have gone. They should have gave those roles to The Rock. I remember there was a time when I was like, man, The Rock needs this guy's agent because The Rock was doing like Tooth Fairy
movies.
Yeah, and this guy was getting like Terminator, Clash of the Titans. You know what I mean? Although I do like him in that movie called The Shack, which is on Netflix.
No, but but that's a totally different movie than what this guy was getting at this time. I mean, I was like,
he was getting everything, man. Then he got Avatar. You know what I mean? So
and then Avatar,
so he was like one of the biggest ones.
But his movies just kept fucking flopping.
Yeah, and he's not like that great.
He's not.
He reminds me of somebody. Like I'm like you're like a poor man's something.
And Topher, I don't know what the hell they were thinking when they cast him as Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock has always been portrayed like as a big fucking guy.
Yeah, they always show him working out in the comics in the gym, and he's
like Tom Hardy. Even like Tom Hardy, I like the movies, but he's not my Eddie Brock either.
No, no. You need like John Cena.
But you know, like that idiot, kind of like New Yorker, you know, where he's like everything is like somebody else's fault, you know, like.
Well, you gotta say though too, like who did Wizard cast? They cast like Brian Bosworth or something like that. I'm like, okay, you can't go that route. Although they might have had the look.
No, but just the Brock part, you know, with the Venom, then you can do something else. You know?
And a lot of times too, though, it's like you don't need to give a villain so much. I mean, you could do more with a lot. Like if you rely on like it being more about Venom, like you said, then it's like you can do a lot with that. You know. Oh, what you have some comments here?
Maria comes in. I'm guessing she's just
sorry,
saying,
Mom. I think you're doing. Hi, Mom. How you doing?
Joe says, I thought that's why they shaved his head. Ned.
Getting ready for the
but
thing.
You know what?
Interesting.
Even though he's lost 100 pounds, he still look. You know, I'm like, I don't know if they'll ever cast you as Hobgoblin.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting now that I think about it. Like, they're it will be more tragic if that happens because him and Ned are.
I couldn't believe they're actually hinting at that. So I was kind of like, wow,
yeah. Although now with how this one ends,
and so you can kind of see that,
right? Yeah,
there's and then going to MIT. I was like, to
learn more about that. Well, that's interesting.
Because he's just like Norman.
Yeah.
With all the tech shit.
And he's been exposed to glider tech now. Yep. So, okay, I kind of dig that. You know what I mean? Would you do it? Solo Goblin, like Hobgoblin, as the main villain?
Yeah.
Like, or you wouldn't put no side villains?
No side character.
Because I keep hearing Scorpion's name get thrown around, which they kind of did show.
Scorpion.
They kind of show him talking to Vulture, remember?
Yes.
And it's that one actor. I can't think of what else he's from. But,
I can't. Yeah.
But he's got the Scorpion tattoo on his neck. He talks to he's like, we should talk. He tells Vulture, we should talk. So that would be interesting. But let's get to the meat and potatoes here, Double A. Let's get to what I think that was the big,
so
two other geek out moments.
Yeah, so now Peter's gone missing. After the Electro battle, he's gone missing.
Yeah, they
don't know where the fuck to find him,
and Ned's they don't know whether
power. They should put the fucking button or not. Because remember, he said, "Don't push it until you hear from me."
And where is he at that time?
Where does he go? Where he's all fucking pissy?
I don't remember. He was definitely in his feelings, but. Either way, it leads to a really great moment when
so he's
Ned,
like, okay,
let me look for Peter, try to find him. And it does find him, and then there's that moment.
Oh, man, and people pop fucking hard.
Yeah, my crowd started cheering, like, right when the thing opened, you kind of see him turn around. They're like, "Wah!"
And honestly, I was really surprised because for a long time, he was just shitted on. He was considered like the worst Spider-Man.
I'm telling you, he's getting the Anakin treatment now.
I don't know why, because Amazing Spider-Man is really good.
And he's a great actor. And he is a really good actor.
I loved his Spider-Man because it reminded me so much of the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man. Because how gangly he is.
Yes, yeah. And for me, he kind of had like shades of like Ultimate Spider-Man to him too, like with the kind of like a bigger head.
I love that he talks shit too,
which is kind of like Spider-Man as Spider-Man talks trash. He's a jokester. You know what I mean? Like that's an aspect.
That's why it's like, how come this guy didn't shut up?
There really wasn't that in the Tobey one that much. He made a little bit of jokes,
but really not like this one.
This one really they played up that aspect, which is a big part of his personality because you're from the neighborhood Spider-Man, all that stuff or whatever. So that was cool.
Yeah, so he comes off, he unmasked. And
how'd you feel about the look? Obviously a little older, right?
A little older, yeah. I was fine. I was like, cool. It's it's awesome. I was like I said, I'm a big fan of his Spider-Man, his interpretation. I love the first movie. I think it's really good. Mm-hmm. And so it was just really cool seeing all his shit, and the interactions.
I loved it. He was in the Spider-Man costume, you know what I mean? And then I think, the crowd kind of held its breath because they were like, you got the wrong one, try again. And it was like, we all knew.
Oh, man.
And I have to admit, when he came out dressed like the way he was, I was like, what the fuck? Like, looking like an old man, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't look too bad in the face, but he definitely looked older. And, just that classic Tobey as Peter face, like what the heck? Like, I'm just
for
like
him, it's been 20 years,
right?
For Garfield, it's only been 7 years.
Which isn't that fucking crazy?
I know.
20 years since,
man.
Like, we can say stuff that was 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Like
20 years ago, I was 20. So it's like I fucking was 20 watching,
exactly.
Him do it. But yeah, like the crowd went nuts.
Man,
it was
went
cool.
Super nuts for Tobey. Tobey is like almost like the Christopher Reeve, he's a generation Spider-Man,
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that.
My wife didn't really see the Andrew Garfields, but she knows the Tobey Maguire.
Sure.
So.
Who didn't? Like you said, everyone saw those. Even my nephew has seen those. You know, and he's that's not really his Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
And
but he's seen them.
Yeah, and so this is like almost like the Grandmaster Spider-Man, the one who's already experienced everything, the one who knows everything. You know? So that was awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
Did you love like the interacting right away too?
It was badass.
I even love MJ when she's like crawl around a little bit, like, and she's telling before Toby gets there, and she's telling you that he's like, all right, and he's hanging, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, I dig it, but then to get that
part, the webbing part, where they're shooting each other,
pretty damn cool. It was really cool to see that part too, and then that's when you kind of get the band back together in a sense, right? You're like, all right, here we go. You know what I mean?
And then, they start asking, they're like, we don't know where Peter's at, and, oh, you know what? Because the maid part, that's why.
Right.
All that shit has already happened.
All that happened. Yeah, that's right. We forgot about that whole thing. So, okay, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's read through these comments real quick, though.
I thought that's, he goes, he and Peter gonna fight over MJ. It looks that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Better call Saul.
I think Rizzo's mentioning where the guy that plays Scorpion comes from. I know him from something else too, Riz. I can't think of what, and I can't think of the actor's name, but I think I do remember seeing him in Better Call Saul. I'm behind on that show, by the way.
And then Joe says, greatest thing was my oldest saying Toby was his favorite, and my younger son saying Garfield was his. Yeah, I did it. It's on YouTube.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. What? Read me the comment again. Oh, greatest thing was
his oldest son was saying Toby was his, and then his younger son was saying that Garfield was his. So
interesting.
You got like two different kind of like age groups because Amazing Spider-Man came out like in 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean it was
very interesting, and it's so funny because I just at the show that I was at, the little outdoor sale that Javi had at Atomic Toys. One of the figures my nephew picked off of a guy's table was a lizard from the second one, and he was like, and he was playing with it one day just by itself on the table, and he was like, I think this is like my favorite figure, Uncle Charlie, and I was like, that one, and I was like, okay, cool. So he was just there messing with it and stuff like that, and I was like, interesting, you know what I mean? But he's like, since he likes the symbiote so much, it's like Spider-Man's so close to all that stuff. It's like always in the realm of that. So I dig that, and I could tell he really enjoyed it because he kind of kept glancing over to me like every time something would happen that was big, and I'm just there like getting all emotional, like, oh man, like, this is pretty awesome, But yes, so how did you feel did you feel like was May's death warranted? Did it need to happen?
I didn't think so, man. I didn't think so.
I didn't like it. I was like, what the fuck? They killed Aunt May?
But then until I found out why they did it. But I mean, that was cool because
this one has an experienced loss. That we know of.
No,
right.
Which I didn't know. Yeah. I was like, I thought they just skipped it. They were like, all right, you already know.
No, the order. That's what I thought too.
So I never even thought about that. But man, he's fixing everything. He got to fix Doc Ock. He's almost fixing Electro, and Goblin Norman shows that he's not really in control. It was always been Goblin that's been in control. And man, oh man, like I said, they upped his power or something because Tom Holland's Spider-Man is wailing on him hard. He's not even like holding back, and Goblin is just like laughing at him. And I was like, whoa, this really shook me, and then I was like, yes, and then I like snapped back. I was like, well, yeah, duh, this is the way the Goblin should be. Like he's like
strong.
He's like Spider-Man's mirror image.
Yeah, yeah, like the dark side of him. I know they try to play up Venom that way, but it's
always been Goblin.
Yeah, it's always been the Goblin. Yeah, like when the power corrupts you, absolutely.
And this is what reminded me again that this is why he's Spider-Man's number one.
Yeah,
because. Man, there's just so much personal shit this guy does to Spider-Man, and you're just like, man, this is like the only guy that Spider-Man's ever come close to killing. Or he's like, fuck you.
That's what like the Garfield one fucked up too, because it's like it didn't have a good Goblin.
No.
The way the comic paints it
Like, and
even
Harry
the Gwen
is good.
story,
and Harry is good.
Yeah,
you know,
he's
because
great.
that issue where he does die, it's pretty damn an emotional story.
Yeah.
The way J.M. DeMatteis writes it, it's pretty damn emotional.
Yeah, even the other stuff too, like the hologram cover ones, or that one where he has dinner with them, and it's Harry, and he's like, oh fuck, man, like this is his fucking friend. Like that's what makes it tragic. Yeah. It's so funny because as much things as these movies get right, there are still things that the comic books did better. Yeah. One of the things that that they did better too, unfortunately, like in the Garfield ones, that and maybe it was kind of marred, to fail in a sense because they changed some really key things that are great. But like the Gwen story, where it was like that was always a neat thing, where it's like she didn't know, and Captain Stacy's death, but he did know, you know what I mean? And then she ended up hating Spider-Man. It made it so hard for him to. He's like, how can I be with you? Because if she ever found out, she'd fucking hate him, Like, I was like, gosh dang, like, Stan Lee, man, way to go. Like, that is, like, well done.
That one, that's Jerry Conway.
At that point already? Yeah, I mean, still great. I mean, like, that's great storytelling. Like, shit,
and that's what I think, too, because, Jerry Conway, like I said, was only, like, 17, 18.
Yeah.
He was writing these stories.
Oh, that's incredible,
I mean,
right?
it was kind of like,
that's
wow.
Incredible.
So,
even Captain Stacy's death, you know what I mean? The Spider-Man fighting the Goblin, the bricks falling on him. You're like, oh, man. That's like, bad. That's what I mean. Like, but that whole way that thing plays out, to the end, so with Gwen's death, is like fucking poor Spider-Man, like poor Peter Parker. Like, that's all fucked up, And again, the movies did good, but they did not capture that. They could have drawn that out. Maybe if they would have put that over 3 movies, and had the Captain Stacy stuff at the end, where you get, because I'm not a huge Dennis Leary fan or whatever, but he was likable.
He was great in that one. Yeah,
he was likable in that. And imagine you have that moment, but at the end of a trilogy with Toby, that would have been. I mean, with Andrew Garfield would have been much better. So, so then that happens.
Yeah, so Goblin pretty much wins. This is an all-out victory for him. He drops the bomb.
Oh yeah, Electro's about to get powered down and be cured, and he's like, "No, fuck that."
Fuck that. Yeah. So he leaves. Sandman leaves,
and he's in their head too. Right? He's like, "Come on, be who you are. Like this is a gift. You know what I mean? Like we're the gods here. You know what I mean?" I'm like, "Damn, man!" Like
So all the villains split.
Yeah.
So there goes all that fucking work. The he plants a bomb. Bomb explodes. Buildings destroyed. And we didn't think of nothing of it until May crashes and it's just like, oh shit.
I like how they did it too. Like she gets up first, so I'm like, oh, good thing they didn't
I was like, oh cool, then like, you're joking,
right? And they're talking, right? Yeah. And and I guess you're right, I didn't think about it. I was like, oh, I assumed that there was an Uncle Ben. They hadn't said that.
And
even
so
though in our current Tom Holland's movies, we haven't really heard the famous line yet. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then for it to happen right there, I think maybe it was like in my mind settling in, like, oh, what the fuck? No, they're making her like the sacrificial, the one that has to create that loss in his life. And I was like, oh no,
okay.
Because at this point we already love this Aunt May.
Yeah,
like
I do too.
Marissa Tomei is fantastic. Yeah, I was like, oh man, no. Like I was like. So in that part, I was like, I felt him in that. I was like, oh, Tom Holland, he's right. He needs to get away.
So now after, they get the 2 Spider-Mans, that's when they tell him, what happened, what went down. And they're both like, okay, Toby's the one that speaks up. He's like, where would he go? He goes, I always have a place where I go.
Yeah, I love
where
that.
Would he go?
Yeah.
And then that's when they take him to the roof. And he's like, oh, I know where they're at.
And this is our first time we get to see the 3 together.
Yep.
And you're like, I mean,
what a moment
for us, right? What's that like for us that we lived through all 3?
Yeah,
I mean, like you said, 20 years ago, then the other ones. I mean, like despite,
and not only that, but we've had like the cartoon, the '90s cartoon, had an episode where it was Spider-Man's. We've had Spider-Man into the multiverse.
We've had amazing friends.
We've had amazing friends.
Iceman and Firestar. Was that her name? Firestorm.
Storm.
First,
I can't remember.
Somebody's going to get us on that one. Yeah.
But the comics too, we've had that. So this is kind of
like
Firestar.
Firestorm is DC, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we're seeing it in the movies. But we're seeing like 3 different generations of Spider-Man.
Right.
It's Tobey, that Garfield, and Tom Holland.
I mean, and if somebody would have ever told us that you're going to have all 3 Spider-Men in one movie, like that it's going to work and it'll be a great story.
And who would ever thought they would have accepted, Garfield after all this time?
Yeah.
And then, they're talking and, Tom Holland kind of gets mad. He's like, don't say like, what I've been through. And
they
were like, whoa. And then, and then he tells him, the line he starts saying that,
With great power comes great responsibility.
And they're like, how did he know? Because that's what our Uncle Ben said when he died.
Yeah.
So
right then before they lost their uncle.
And so it's like, oh, shit. I was like, damn.
Mm-hmm. It's very crazy, man. So it's like, wow. And I think they're kind of having a realization, too. Like, wow, this kid has just had his moment that defined us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then he's like, I lost Gwen. He's like, she was my MJ.
Right.
You know.
That was pretty deep, too, man. I was like, shit. Like, they're, you know.
And then how he tells him that, you know, that afterwards that he was pretty rough on his villains.
Right.
Know,
that was an interesting.
Almost not pulling his punches anymore, you know?
Yeah, we know Spider-Man has to pull punches to hit thugs, otherwise their heads will pop off their shoulders.
I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, kind of like, man, if, you know, they had shown part 3, would they have shown that kind of like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man? Would they have shown him being pretty rough?
Yeah,
you know, at that moment.
Interesting.
You know?
That would have been interesting. Interesting. Would the arc have been of that amazing?
I was
Spider-Man
really
3.
hoping that Toby was going to say him and MJ worked it out, and they had May. I was hoping that they were going to say they had their own Mayday,
nice.
Mayday Parker.
Yeah.
I was really hoping they were going to say they ended up having a baby.
But he says what instead that they
got together.
They got together. Yeah. Okay.
But I was like, oh man, please say you had, you know, May. That would have been cool. They just said. You know,
if they want to recast Kristen Dunst, we're okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
Joe says 90s Spider-Man cartoon. His deal was he was constantly trying to help the villains get better. Okay, very cool.
He did try to help.
He was all trying to help them. Yeah. I don't think I cried at the Aunt May scene, but damn, when Garfield talked about Gwen, oh yeah, definitely, man. Because number 2, he's acting so well. I'm like, this guy is an amazing actor.
He is.
I
loved him. Yeah.
You know, not that the other 2 are not, because they're not. Because when Pete's feeling that emotion, I mean, you feel Tom Holland's like, oh man, he's having a fucking really moment. You know what I mean? So,
so they all get together.
He explains the plan pretty much, like, hey, this is the plan, guys, and they're like, okay, you know what I mean? So, you know, they get in the lab. That's a lot of fun, that part.
That is, man. I was like, oh man, that's so awesome.
Because that's such a Peter Parker thing, you know what I mean? Like, you know, he figures things out. You know, he's a smart guy, whatever.
And I'm glad they kind of showed in this movie finally, because Peter is a pretty big brain in the Marvel universe. When, you know,
I would say he's in the maybe top 5. I mean, you've got like, you know, Reed, you know, Banner, Stark. I always put Doom up there.
Xavier, Doom.
Yeah, and in fact, I would maybe put like Doom number 2, like Reed, Doom, and like Banner. Then, well, the way they make it in the comics anyway.
Banner, Bruce, they downplayed his intelligence big time in this song.
In the
movies they do.
I mean, like, he's kind of like the next smart guy, but it's like not as smart as Stark. I'm like, wait, he's like a nuclear.
Stark was never a genius.
They should have in the movies always made him over Stark. Yeah.
But it's I know what they're probably thinking was that they were probably never going to get Fantastic Four back, so it's kind of like he was going to be Reed and Iron Man and everybody else they could think of, probably Black Bolt too.
Yeah,
all rolled into one. He was going to be the super genius Doom. You know, he's going to be Reed, Doom, Iron Man, everyone into one.
It's interesting you mentioned Xavier, because it's like they don't really show him as being smart, but however, if I can read your mind, I can just be...
I mean, he is intelligent. Him and Magneto are super fucking intelligent
smart guys,
you know?
for sure. But yes, I love that, especially with like the... obviously, the part where they talk about their webbing, you know what I mean? Like, wait, yours comes out.
Whoa, yours comes out?
Yeah. I love how he's like, does it come out anywhere else? It's like, no. But that was so cool because they never really gave, Toby kind of the really smart side of Peter. You know what I mean? Like, he's smart.
No,
but
I mean, because he impresses Norman and he impresses Doc Ock.
That's
with
right.
What he knows,
yeah.
You know, because he is. He's always fucking tired. From Spider-Man,
right? Like Spider-Manning,
yeah. But I mean, he was always at the top of his class, you know, always. And then in Garfield's, they do show him super smart too when he's helping Kurt,
right?
Dr. Kurt Connors too.
Yeah, there's a Dr. Connors in the
original
too, well. We always kind of were like, oh, is he going to become? You know, so. That was very cool, man. I love that scene.
Yeah, and then that's when that's when they kind of throw in, you guys have a best friend in your universe? He's like, yeah, and then you try killing me in mine. And he's like, yeah, mine too. And that's when I was kind of like, oh wow, are they actually gonna, make Ned? Is that what they're leading to? Like,
yeah, that's
Ned,
pretty wild.
And I was like, oh wow. I was like, damn, they're, I was like, wow, I didn't even catch that. I was like, holy shit, Harry, Green Goblin, Ned, Hobgoblin. I was like, oh shit.
There's definitely a room for that to be set up for sure.
And then there's that part too where Andrew Garfield's looking at Tom Holland and MJ, being like all lovey-dovey with each other, and he's kind of like, you know, like, man, that's nice, you know. And
Yeah.
Toby's like, you alright? You know, the Toby Spider-Man.
That's fucking rough, man.
It's like, yeah, you know.
It makes you wonder, like, in, you know, in the Andrew Garfield world, is there like a Mary Jane? Because obviously like Mary Jane comes afterwards in the comics, you know. But it kind of does help showcase the differences in the universes. Like, there are some things that are just fundamentally different, you know what I mean? So,
and you know, it's really cool. It's kind of like, you know, it's like Toby's like shown like as a mentor to both of them. Like, he's that mentor figure. You know, it's kind of like the Peter and Spider-Man into the multiverse.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, it is. The Peter B. Parker or whatever it is. Yeah.
You know, where he's like...
He's been Spider-Maning the longest.
Because he has to counsel, you know, like... Andrew too,
right
here and there, you know, like he has to pep him up quite a few times in this movie.
Well, you got to think about it. Out of them three, he maybe is the one with his life is most on track. You know, I've got my girl, my aunt is not dead. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, so that's like good. You know what I mean? Like, well, who knows by this point? You know what I mean? Like, is that actress even alive? I wonder if she's even alive.
Rosemary. You talking about Toby's?
Yeah, Toby's.
I don't know.
Toby's Aunt May. Let's see here. Joe says, didn't want to. Oh shoot! Sorry.
Right there. They were perfect together too. Mm-hmm. We get the 3 Spider-Man meme, which I kind of thought I was kind of hoping they were gonna do, but when Ned calls like Peter and they all turn to each other, I thought that might have been the moment.
Point at each other. Yeah, that classic meme is great.
Rizzo back in the house. He said, "Dunst didn't want to fix her teeth. Well, now you see the movies in HD and you're like, ew."
Yeah,
probably should have. I didn't know she had bad teeth. I never looked at her.
She just has like little teeth.
Maybe they would have called her back.
I don't know, Riz. I never have been a Kirsten Dunst fan or whatever. I don't think she's a great actress, and I mean, for even being a Hollywood chick, I've never been like, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, some people were like, oh, you'd still sleep with her, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not saying I'm no prize pig, you know what I mean? But there's just something about her.
It's just, you know, I've never been happy with the MJ portrayals with Zendaya or her. I've never been happy with the MJ portrayals.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, to me, like, MJ was like fun and like spunky and like upbeat, the life of the party, and then too, you know, like kind of voluptuous, you know what I mean? Like, you know, she's an actress and a model. It's like, you know,
which they never really show.
They have Kirsten Dunst being an actress, but it's just like, I don't know, she's just always like a downer. She just sucks. She sucks. I'm glad they didn't bring her back. You know, so
one of Peter's best things is always his brains.
Absolutely agree with that.
Rizzo says, you know,
I'm a bit of a scientist myself. I love that. That was so great. They brought that line back.
Yeah. Joe says he figures out how to top his villains with some prep time, just like the best superhero.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to bring this up right now, Joe. While we have you and Rizzo here and AA, they could never do a movie with 3 Batmen because they would fucking kill each other. It was like one another would never trust each other. And I know we're gonna get a movie soon. Wait, no, are we getting a movie with multiple Batmen? No, we're getting
movies with different Batman.
With different Batman.
Yeah.
But there could never be a movie with more than one Batman.
Flashpoint is supposed to have Keaton, then the Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Right.
And then I think Ben Affleck is supposed to do one more.
But we're not going to get like Batfleck and Keaton in the same one, right? And there's a reason why, is because they're the most untrusting people. And, you know, this movie did a great job too. Like, number one, does it not only literally showcase some of Spider-Man's, you know, greatest villains, but, you know, then they have that discussion, you know, like, but it just goes to show that Spider-Man has one of the most eclectic rogues galleries as we've discussed. You know what I mean?
About in our rogue galleries episode.
Batman's got a great rogues gallery too. I mean, we're not going to deny that. You know what I mean? But 3 Batmen, it would never happen. They would never trust that they were the same person. They wouldn't believe it. Whereas these guys kind of like, it shows a little bit of who Peter Parker is. He has a much greater heart. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
Rizzo says Iron Man. Yeah, I agree. I think when you were talking about his intelligence, how they kind of upped him up too much, but they had to.
Because the movies kind of made him number one. You know what I mean?
Well, not just that, but I mean they had to. We didn't know who we were gonna get. Marvel probably didn't know who the fuck they were gonna get. You know, so they were probably like, these might be our main characters. So
yeah, but you know what's interesting? It's like, you know, it was kind of like Tony even in the movies. And I think that's how it was in the comics. It was really smart with like tech.
Yes,
you know what I mean. But
he was a tech guy.
You know, it wasn't like he could make.
And he had some brains. He did have some brains. But he was never like
a chemist,
like where he can figure something out just by reading it. Okay, he was a like he invented time travel just in one night. Like, come on,
right?
now,
Yeah, like space time continuation. Yeah, right. Agreed. Like, that's definitely a Reed Richards vibe right there, hardcore. Because that's what I'm saying. Like, not everybody can make web fluid or whatever. No. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain aspects of science that kind of
like how he does tell Peter if he made that himself, the webbing.
Right.
He, in a. I think it's Civil War.
Yeah.
When he first encounters him.
Yeah. Right, so. That's right. Yeah. And then even like later on when Banner's like, oh, that's not really my field or whatever. But again, they dumbed him down too much. They dumbed him down. I'm like, no, wait. You're like the nuclear scientist, aren't you?
They dumbed him down and they powered him down too fucking much in the movies.
Yeah.
Joe comes back. He says there was Mary Jane filmed in part 2 that was cut. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Is that available online, Joe? I'd love to see that scene. I know there's the famous scene with the dad. Have you seen that clip?
With the dad?
There's a famous scene with Richard Parker in the Andrew Garfield one where they're at the grave and he's again acting amazing. He's like, "You're supposed to be dead." Like what the? And it's a great scene where like the dad that shows in the beginning, he comes back and like he's like, "I had to hide Peter from you," and I'm like, "What the fuck? That would have like changed those movies." Like remember that story, right? Where the parents are alive. They're what are they, spies or double agents?
Spies or something.
I mean, again, I don't know how great that story is, but just that. That would have been the first time that was seen in a movie, and I was like, "Wow!"
They kind of got hinted at it, though, so I was surprising when they did do that kind of story. So,
yeah, very interesting, right?
Joe says it's coming. I tell you, DC sees this work. Yeah, but DC doesn't know how to do it.
They wouldn't even know what 3 Batmen to pick.
Yeah, I mean they're doing 3 fucking movies with 3 different Batmans. I mean, it tells you right there that they can't even keep one. So
what about this Flash's book, Flashpoint?
Oh man, that was fucking funny.
I was like,
that was hilarious.
What a nod, right?
What a great fucking punch. Yeah,
here we are. We're dealing with our multiverse here, and we're like Flashpoint. Yeah. That guy sucks, man.
That is a terrible Flash.
And maybe he's Flash. A great actor because we hate him so much. It's like he's good at sucking.
I mean, that's not Flash. That's not the Flash Thompson.
You know what though, Double A? Is that what a modern bully is like? Maybe that's what modern bullies are like. You know what I mean? Like, there's no more of the day where it's like the Jocko bully that's like a little twerp and push you in a locker. You know what I mean?
Rizzo says something about Shailene Woodley. She's Aaron's girlfriend. No, I think. And he kind of trails off. Maybe, is he talking about maybe her? Or maybe her was Mary Jane?
Interesting. Okay.
That was cut?
I'm curious to know, yeah. I do know that... I did remember that he was dating that chick or whatever. But...
Whether they know or not, that's never stopped them. And John goes, that was a great Easter egg.
Yeah, very nice. But yeah, so at this point we know we've got the 3 Spider-Men all there on screen. I think we're all at the point in the theater we're just like, oh my god.
Oh man, like, I already came like 5 times.
Yeah, I was like, this is like everything.
My fucking pants are wet.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, not a dry eye in the house or crotch, you know what I mean? So it was just like, I was just like, it's fucking so rad. And then you're asking yourself, right, Double A, like, are they going to be able to pull it off? And it was like coming off like clockwork. Like, I was like, oh, this is so good. So good. I don't know if anything really happens much between we get to the big fight.
No, but it's like that big discussion they have.
Yeah, which is great. It's like everything you wanted. Like you want to just,
and that's why I tell him like when he has to pep up like Andrew Garfield, it's like, no, you're amazing.
Yeah,
it's almost like all the criticisms that he had.
Yes, I love.
It was like they were bringing it back. You're great. You're amazing.
Give me a 90-minute movie of these 3 just hanging out, eating pizza. You know what I mean?
Toby with his
just
back,
talking.
That was like a callback to part 2.
Yeah,
when he lands on the car. It's like, oh, my back.
Yeah.
And he's all like, you want me to pop your back? He's like, all right.
Okay.
Go like this.
And then he's like, I always wanted brothers, you know what I mean? Like, that's what brothers do for each other, right? I also love, too, like, well, do you ever run out of webs? And he's like, I have run out of webs. And he's like, oh, how does that work, It's just like awesome. Like, that's how 3 Spider-Men
that was really
act.
cool, yeah. It's supposed to be like the same dude, but it's like they're so curious about each other.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, like, I was like, wow, this is like totally paying off. And then you're like, okay, how is this fight going to be?
I mean, that scene was just great. It was just fucking funny.
When
awesome.
About when they first land and you see each Spider-Man land.
And their poses.
And their pose.
Man.
I was like, damn, this is fucking... I never thought I wanted or needed a movie with 3 Spider-Man, but I did, and it was amazing and spectacular. So there's that. I love how they go in the first first
but
go.
You know what? I like how they lose because they're so used to being solo.
Solo, yeah.
That
Except Tom.
But even him, he's trying to like coordinate, and they're just like, "What? Which one are you talking to? Where's the cure for the goblin one?
Right.
It's like they're just like fucking up with each other real bad.
Yeah.
And
they're
that's
not
when
used
they have
to
to huddle.
teamwork.
That and they get back in the huddle, and he's like, "I was on the Avengers. Oh, that's cool. Who are they?
Yeah, what's that?" Yeah, man, all those great moments.
So that was kind of cool too, because it showed it was like, okay, the Avengers don't exist in Toby's,
right?
Because you know how everyone's always like, well, Spider-Man's in New York, and Fantastic Four's in New York, and Daredevil's in New York. How come they're not? How come they don't all get together?
And it just shows too, right? Like how those movies, everything was messed up back then, and there was no opportunities to even make a mention of like a Daredevil or a Punisher. And here you have, these two guys that were, great Spider-Men, in their own respective movies, right? But they could never, even though there was like a Daredevil movie at the time, and there was Punisher movies,
because they belonged to so many fucking different companies.
Yeah. And it just shows how great it is now that everything is back under one roof and that you can have those kind of conversations. So then they give it another go around, right? Tom kind of takes the lead, and then they're able to kind of start accomplishing some things.
Yeah, they were able to. I think, who did they get first? They get
Scorpion. A
Sandman,
lizard,
right?
Sandman or a lizard. Yeah, one of them two first. Yeah. Then of course Doc Ock helps.
Doc Ock helps them.
With Electro, right? Which is
and
cool.
They have a really funny conversation too when he's powered down. Remember him and Andrew Garfield?
Yes.
When he takes off his mask, he's like, "Man, I always thought you were poor." Black, because you're from Queens and you help out poor people.
Yeah, that's
like
great.
There has to be a black one of you.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And people fucking clapped and laughed after he said that because obviously, and everyone I heard people say like Miles. I heard a few people in the theater say Miles.
Yeah,
so I was like, man, that's funny too. I bet Bendis was smiling if he saw that.
Oh, I'm sure, man. What a great moment for that. And then like also too setting up further, right? You can set up a little bit like when are we going to get that? See that,
Yeah, I mean,
happen.
It's really awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. Amazing Spider-Man. Joe said, what are we saying here? Sorry, we're going back up in some of our comments here. Yes, when Joe mentions when they talked about their villains, I love that. Like, I fought like a gooey black guy, and then I fought a giant rhino, and he's like, man, I'm the lamest here. And it's like, I was like, no, I agreed with them. I was like, no, you weren't. Yeah. Let's see who Joe says he doesn't see being a future villain. The Flash guy. Yeah, no, definitely not.
No, hell no.
The Amazing Spider-Man. They needed to say Spectacular Spider-Man. I agree. I've always loved that. And then the other book was Web of Spider-Man. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Let's see. What did I miss there? Does that come out in any other part of the Spectacular Spider-Man thing? I don't know if that comes out anywhere else. I want the three
no, he's saying, does that come out of any other part of you with the webs?
Oh, right, yeah, that part. Yeah, definitely. And he says, I want that 3 Spidey movie series. Absolutely, man. I'm all there for that. You make that somewhere. You know what I mean? We could definitely use another one. Is that like a band? The Avengers, right? Yeah. Chelsea says, oh, man, I love how Daredevil showed up. And if it connects to the Hawkeye series with Fisk, obviously, that's the big reveal. Spoilers for Hawkeye. People are like, what? You didn't say that?
Yeah.
But yeah, great pull, Chelsea. Obviously, that was last week's reveal. And then they pretty much, Disney's been posting it themselves, showing the feet walking with the purple pants. Yeah. I love that. So, you obviously know that's definitely happening.
Which I'm sure Vincent D'Onofrio was like fucking thrilled about because I know he had been making, comments throughout the whole year that, I really would like to play Kingpin again. I've enjoyed his Kingpin. It's just I would have liked him a little bit more buffer.
Yeah.
Kingpin's supposed to be like Michael Clark Duncan. That's why I liked him because he was just fucking all muscle.
Definitely.
Big guy, but muscle.
Did you get to see him in the Daredevil series? His Kingpin? Did you watch that?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought he did a great job.
He's great. He's
showing
great.
the physicality.
He's great.
For his size. Wonderful.
Like I said, I like when Michael Clark Duncan takes off his clothes though.
And he's a buff guy.
He's like, oh fuck.
It reminds you of those old issues where you see Fisk without his
jacket.
That's
what Fisk is supposed to be.
But definitely true, man, for sure. Joseph's fucking Garfield catching MJ was the best. Totally. That moment in the theater.
That is the part where my fucking wife started crying.
Yeah.
She was just like in tears, because it's just like everyone's. I mean, and everyone clapped too when she fell, and then he's the one that dove. everyone fucking started clapping.
Yeah, because you see Tom get knocked out. He's on his way, but he gets knocked out of the way. And then you're like, oh, man. And I think a lot of us kind of had a hold breath moment like, oh, man, is he going to lose MJ too? Like, fuck, you know what I mean? And then it's like that moment was just like...
Yeah, everyone clapped when he dove. And then and then you see his face and you're just like, man, my wife teared up.
Yeah,
she teared up bad.
Redemption right there.
Yeah,
I was like, man, that was awesome.
What a great acting piece, though, right? That he can show that much emotion where, everyone knew what he was saying without saying it,
And just the move, you know what I mean? Like, don't do what you did before, you know what I mean? Like, you got to, get there. I mean, that was a very, very perfect moment in that movie.
I mean, that was right my wife's favorite part. And she teared up just like you guys did.
Yeah, great comment, Joe. Love that. Oh yeah, so Rizzo was saying he teared up as well. Yeah, Riz, me as well. So it's just a fucking 2.5 hour stop fest.
Again, I was like, yes, because it's like I said, Garfield was not bad.
No.
He was.
I didn't realize how much I watched that first one. Like I watch it quite a bit. Like if it's on, I'll leave it on and watch it. And there's a lot of great moments and. There's just a lot of stuff that's cool. Yeah. And again, Gwen is very, very tolerable. I love her.
I loved it because it was that's the way his relationships are supposed to be. You know, they're supposed to be like that.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And
I said, it showed you how much Gwen meant and how much she still means to him. How many issues do we read where she's still a big part of him? Yeah, where he goes and he still misses her.
What about in that? And again, I'm referring to the first one or whatever. But yeah, there's so many of that stuff with Gwen we were talking about. But what about when him in the Amazing Spider-Man, when Andrew Garfield and Martin Sheen, they have their little go? It kind of hurts.
Yeah, it does.
He gets mad at him. And he's like, he's like, hey kid, you let me down or whatever. And you're just like, oh man, I mean, I know I was like, that shit, that hurts. Especially as an uncle doing his best trying to help raise his nephew. You know what I mean? It's like
no, because we've all had those talks too, where we've let down probably a parent or something, and they let us have it for that. And
it sucks. You know what I mean? So that super sucks in that scenario as well. But again, the great acting of Andrew Garfield for sure. What else we get
he
here?
Goes, dude, they get to the ground and MJ asks him, "Are you all right?" She asked him,
"Are you all right?" Yeah, because he's like, "Shit," He's like, Spider Gwen, dude, I would love to see that introduced.
You know what? I don't know. I don't know how I ever felt about Gwen being back. It's such a big loss for him that I think Gwen should always kind of be there. I never liked when he brought Kraven back just because of how big that Kraven story was.
Right.
The Kraven's Last Hunt. Man, that's it's an emotional fucking story that they should really leave Kraven dead,
Yeah.
Gwen, the same thing. It's such a huge moment in Spider-Man this.
So I don't know how it is in the comics, but the way they make it seem in Into the Spider-Verse is that remember she says in my universe Peter dies.
Yes.
So she becomes, So I kind of like that. If they introduce her that way, in another kind of multiversal movie, that's cool because it's a different.
So Joe wants it, and Rizzo wants that too. He goes, Gwen was perfect. I'm hoping they bring her back for Spider-Gwen one day.
If Emma Stone want to do it, I mean, how many years? Well, we said it's been a couple of years for her too, but I'm sure she could get in great shape and be great.
Well, she's still in shape.
She'd be great. I love the look. Who voices her in Spider-Verse? I'm sure you guys might know, but they're great.
And
too,
I don't know if anyone remembers, but Bryce Dallas Howard did play Gwen.
That's right.
Part 3.
And you know what? She wasn't terrible in that.
She wasn't terrible, but it wasn't Gwen. It wasn't the Gwen Stacy.
No, and it was a kind of a weird way to introduce
Andrew Garfield,
the characters backwards or whatever.
The Andrew Garfield one is the Gwen Stacy. That's the one that you feel.
You know what? We should say I would have rather seen Toby with that Gwen with Bryce Dallas Howard than that MJ because. Kristen Dunst sucks, but
I don't know. Maybe it was the writing. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. There was some stuff that needed to be there.
Because what kind of pissed me off, and I knew they were going to do this. So part 2 was kind of written by the guys who did Smallville, and in Smallville, Clark's always pushing the girls away, and this is what they did in Spider-Man 2, which I fucking hate. And I was like, oh, here we go again. They're doing their fucking Smallville bullshit in Spider-Man. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. I'm like, Spider-Man is not Clark.
Right.
Like I said, Spider-Man went through a whole bunch of women.
Yeah.
And he didn't give a fuck,
Well, I mean, the guy wants some wins. I mean, there's
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't mind, He's like, I'll be late on dates. I'll be late to the movies, but it's not like he's stopping. it's stopping him from dating him.
Yeah,
You know?
there's times where Pete's wanted to just give up being Spider-Man because he's like, well, fuck this, man. I don't get to have no life. Like, it ain't worth it. You know what I mean?
Joe says, I don't know about you, but Bring It On is great.
Oh, wow. There you go. And there's one for you right there, Joe. Bring It On.
And Joe says that was before she really blew up too. Well, yeah, I guess so, right? Spider-Man.
Yeah.
For Gwen, for Emma Watson, Thompson.
What's Stone.
Emma
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. Yeah, she hadn't really maybe taken off that much yet. Well, she wasn't super bad, I think, maybe.
And this was, Rizzo goes, wasn't Craven in the cloud sky when Doctor Strange was talking about him not being able to stop him from coming? I was trying to see
talk
who
about
the
that.
fuck was
Let's
there.
talk about that. That was one I noticed, and I don't know why.
So it was maybe Craven?
Well, because I've went back to see people that got still images or whatever, and you do see like a big collar, and you see a spear in the hand. So that's cool. My first thought when I saw that in the theater is I just like looked to the left and I saw like I didn't notice the bigger collar part, which I guess would be like the lion vest. Yeah. And I didn't think Spider-Man villain, but for whatever reason in my brain I was like, is that Namor? Like I was like, it's supposed to be Namor, but then I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. Craven makes much more sense. So
wow.
I don't know where the fuck I got. Maybe I thought Trident, and then I'm like, Namor doesn't carry a Trident. That's Aquaman. So my mind was just trying to like take it all in or whatever real quick. But again, why multiple viewings are fantastic. So that was cool. Obviously, in my theater, when the next body shape that comes up, it looks like Venom, and my theater was like Venom. Like I could hear my theater saying that, and I was like, oh, it does kind of look like him. Someone else I think I read later on said they could see Scorpion. Like you could see the kind of the shape, I guess, in the tail. So that would make sense. Those would be some of the bigs that we haven't really seen. You know what I mean? From the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery. But yeah, that was a. What did you feel about that part, AA? Like he's like they're breaking through, and the more
First off, like kind of back up a little bit. So they're beating everyone. Fine, Goblin. Last man standing again. And Tom Holland is wailing on him, on him.
And he wants blood. He's out for blood.
Toby steps in, stops him from doing it, and then he gets stabbed. I was like, oh no, are they gonna kill off Toby?
Dude, the whole theater was like no.
Yeah, I was like, oh man.
I thought that too. I thought that was it for him or whatever.
And so I was like, oh, fucking Goblin, like this motherfucker,
Yeah.
And just when you think Tom Holland's gonna finish him off, Garfield does his throw.
Gets it and changes Norman back.
And Norman's like, what happened?
Right. He doesn't know anything. I did see one thing written, or it was a video of a guy. I don't know if this is any truth at all, whatever, but I guess it's a theory that they were like, there was an ending where Toby does die, Toby Spider does, but that Feige liked them three together so much that he was like, I want them back for like Secret Wars.
Okay.
Which I was like, oh, that's kind of cool if that is true or whatever, you know what I mean? But again, this is some guy on the internet speculating. He's probably writing his own fan theories, you know what I mean?
But what's cool is that, like when Andrew Garfield picks him up, he's like, oh, I've been stabbed before. And I was like, oh, man. You could hear like a big sigh of relief like from the audience in the theater. They're like, oh, he's all right. He's okay.
Yeah.
And then when he, Tom Holland leaves, he's like, you're in a lot of pain, aren't you?
Yeah. Or how about when they're all three chatting and they kind of don't know how to say goodbye, but then they hug it out.
Hug. Yeah.
That was like, for me, another moment that I was like, oh man, that's awesome. But then it was like kind of sad to know they were going to have to like split up.
But still, they had that moment and they were like, cool. Like, it was almost like brothers. Like, I think one of them even says that. It's almost like having brothers.
I think Andrew Garfield says it. He's like, I always wanted brothers or whatever, so it's pretty cool. Love that. Again.
But I love man, they all had great chemistry, all of them.
Perfect, man. Perfect.
Like, Garfield and Toby, man, those guys were great as the older, Spider-Man.
Wonderful. I did see someone say they were like, the movie was great, but this is how I would have ended it. And they supercut the three Spider-Man swinging through the cities, like,
that would have been cool.
I was like, that's pretty cool. They would have showed up, like they each get back to their world and they're still doing their thing. Yeah. I was like, okay, clever, YouTuber or TikToker, whoever put that up. I do dig that or whatever. But man, I mean, let's get there. Later that. So, on our way there, though, we've got to stop by the fact that, he tells Strange, change the spell like this. The Captain America shield apparently was going to go up on the Statue of Liberty, and I was like, what? Okay. but it falls down, obviously. Yeah. So. Yeah. But then he tells Strange, well, what if you make him forget me? And he's like, yeah, that would work. And
he's like, oh, all right.
Yeah. And then he has the moment with MJ, and she's like, tell me when you find me again. Pretty tragic, right?
It is.
To make everyone, to make you erased from everyone that you know. But again, maybe he also felt like, well, my Aunt May is gone, and then the other two people that I really care about are right
so
here.
That guilt now that the other two have always been carrying, now he's going to be carrying with him the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
May dying because, instead of just sending them back, like Strange had said, they caused her death. They caused so much destruction. They caused everyone to forget about her. So Strange cast that spell. It seems to work. Since
they all didn't know that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, so now nobody knows Peter Parker, period. So that's it. Like,
you hear Jay Jonah, he hears like a broadcast from Jameson, saying that, Spider-Man's a menace, and he should unmask himself.
Yeah. Yeah, so no one knows. So, you kind of like that resolution for him, but in a way you're just like, man, well, now he's truly alone in the world.
And then we find out his MJ is like, what, Michelle Jones?
It's not Michelle Jones, yes, not Mary Jane. Yeah.
So
I wonder why.
like...
Yeah, and then she says several times, like, I don't own the Watson part. I don't go by Watson. I go by Jones or whatever. She says that a couple times. What do you think about that? That's kind of interesting, right? I wonder why,
like, Yeah, but I mean, it's... Everything has always been off, though, with this one. There's no Uncle Ben.
No.
Ned
being the
is
best
his friend.
Right, which is interesting too. Instead of the Harry Osborn. But then again, I think that maybe they were kind of trying to like play with it a little bit because like, okay, the other stuff had been done so much, So let's get through a few comments here. Let's see. Riz says,
Joe says he's a pimp like bats. Okay, and then Rizzo says because we know Morbius is coming.
Morbius probably pimps bats too.
Can't wait. Joe says Neymar might be in Black Panther. That's what they've been hinting at.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I could be done with that. Get Neymar over there.
Rizzo says when he got stabbed, it felt like when Tony got shanked in Infinity War. Everyone gasped.
Yes, exactly. And you were like, "What just happened? Like, what the fuck?" Like,
Joe says, "Fuck, Secret Wars would be great." And then he goes, "Dude, he's like, I always wanted brothers. It was awesome."
Yeah, that was very cool.
And then Rizzo says that was her name in Homecoming, and then she was like, "Call me MJ."
Oh, because they do say that in
Homecoming.
Really,
like,
I like that
one.
I've
only seen it once. I'm not a big fan of.
I know you love Michael Keaton though.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's something about Homecoming. I thought it was too long.
Man, he's pretty outstanding in that. Like, there's some pretty like villainous moments where he has with them. You know what I mean?
This is kind of like the first one I really, really enjoyed from Tom Holland.
Oh wow, okay. I like all three of them. I think
Far From Home was fun.
I think I own all three too. Yeah.
I don't even have one.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't go back to them that much, but I could pop one in any time. You know what I mean? So like, and be like, oh, okay, this is awesome. Yeah. So they kind of say their goodbyes. Obviously, Pete does go look for them or whatever, and he sees that they're not. They're doing okay. I saw a video where they pointed out the fact that she's still wearing the necklace, though, the broken necklace. So that's an interesting aspect. But obviously, he sees the bandage and doesn't want MJ to get hurt, harm to come to her, and so he chooses not to reveal himself to her and Ned. How would that even go, though? You know what I mean? Like, well, no, I was your friend, but your mind was erased, or just trying to start the friendship over. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? So Pete just chooses to walk out. And then we kind of see him moving into an apartment, right?
Yeah, man, the classic apartment. I was like, oh, finally, here it comes.
Poor Peter Parker's always in some shack or apartment.
Yeah.
But what do you see there, right? Doing on the sewing machine,
the costume, man. I was like, whoa.
And his Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, the Palpatine. I was like, what the hell?
So that's pretty cool.
Like, they had to grow in Star Wars.
But they said they showed that one in one of the earlier movies. That's like the first Lego they showed him with. So that's pretty cool. But with that costume, what did you feel about that? The way you kind of see it on there, you're like, oh, it looks with that. More classic. Yeah, and then when you see him, and they didn't give us a great shot of him in it, right? Just him swinging. Yeah. But I mean, I was like, damn. And then the snow coming down. And that might be like the first time we see him swinging in snow.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, they really went with like the classic look and colors. And I thought that was really super. I was like, man, that is... What a way to end it, you know what I mean? Fucking fantastic.
What do you think of the Hogan scene, too? Happy. Him kind of having that.
At the grave, yeah, it was cool. Yeah, it was good. You know, like, how'd you know her, you know what I mean? Which, you know, kind of just, for him, probably sucks, too, because here's a guy he thought was his friend, but reaffirms nobody knows who I am.
Nobody.
And then they have that
and
moment there.
And then we get the end credit scene, man. What do you think?
Right. The first one with Venom, right? Yeah, I mean, in a way where he, like, disappears, I kind of thought, I was like, well, what, that was like whack, because
I thought so too.
You just washed out the other one, but the leave behind of the symbiote is neat.
I was like, oh shit, okay, so they're still gonna do that.
Yeah, because you could definitely get, because I think the Venom that a lot of people have wanted to see is like with the spider, and we haven't gotten that. And I think that you could definitely do the Venom saga in this one, whatever. I think definitely if you're gonna do that though, it's got to be like just Venom.
Has to be, right?
Yeah, but you would just do just Venom or whatever.
And I want to see that big Venom against Spider-Man. You know, that's always been the thing.
Yeah.
It's
yeah
how big he is compared to Spider-Man.
One of the things I don't like about, like the Venom movies that have come out is that it's like, well, he's up against other symbiotes. And it was like, if they knew they were going to do Carnage, it's like, why'd you even have him against this other one in the first Venom? Because it was kind of like, I watched the same fight, that first one's called Riot or whatever, right? So
yeah.
I was like, that's just kind of, and he's kind of red also, so it's kind of like, well, you're giving the same visuals. And I remember even my nephew saying, after Let There Be Carnage, he was like, oh, it was kind of a short fight.
That's why I told everyone I wasn't really a big fan of the.
But that's like a 90-minute movie though. Like it's pretty tight. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, but hey, if you're gonna do 90 minutes, give us like 15 minutes of fighting. Give me a wrestling match worth of fighting. You know what I mean? So yeah, kind of tough on that one. And then so I thought it ended perfectly. Great end credit scene. Cool that the symbiote got left behind. I dig that. Maybe it makes its way. Because he was like in Mexico or something. Right?
But now they're saying though, like, Tom Holland's not too sure if he's going to do another one. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, you can't let him finish off this trilogy like that, though.
Yeah.
Because I was like, as great as the movie was, for him himself, that was a big loss. Yeah. Like, that was a big L he took.
Because the other two outshined him?
No. I'm not saying like Tom Holland. I'm saying like for the Spider-Man character.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He lost everything. He lost Aunt May. He lost MJ. He lost Ned. No one knows him. Happy doesn't know him.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big loss that he took.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't walk away.
Right.
With that kind of like loss.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like,
I agree.
Great movie, but sad ending for his Spider-Man.
And there's potential, though, I think, though, too. Well, see, I thought I heard that he did already say that he was going to do more or whatever, but I'm not sure if Tom, what people have know out there, but Tom Holland has said that there will be more. But I think that it'd be, you kind of opened the door with the Daredevil thing. It's like, let's see that team up. You know what I mean? Let's see.
I know
the Punisher.
I know he's probably getting burnt out from playing Spider-Man.
Sure.
But I mean, man, there's so much stuff now. It's like, come on.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I had forgot about Secret Wars, whatever. Don't forget, he encountered that Skrull.
Yeah.
And which we thought was Fury. So there's always that. I mean, but like I said, the Venom saga, the potential for Hobgoblin.
But how would you feel like if it wasn't Tom Hardy's Venom?
Like another guy?
Yeah.
Like another Eddie Brock, his universe is Eddie Brock.
I guess.
I mean, I guess it's all right if the casting is good.
Because it looks like he got zapped back to wherever.
Yeah.
So he's not from this universe.
Yeah, true. I don't know. It's fine, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, could be somebody else. Doesn't need to be that. I mean, he's against the CGI. I mean,
it's already so popular, the movies.
Yeah.
The Venom movie itself almost made $1 billion.
Wow.
The first one.
I didn't realize that.
The first one. And then this one's like over 400 million. So I mean, people are digging Tom Hardy's Venom.
Yeah, and they love the character. Then apparently, kids like symbiotes. So
I mean, I can't see how you cannot do Tom Hardy versus Tom Holland.
Well, that's one of the fights people want to see: Venom versus Spider-Man. Even if it's a CGI Venom versus a CGI Spider-Man, you know what I mean? And you put that white spider on him, and even then, we want to see. We've never gotten when we got in Toby's the.
Topher.
But the black suit Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
But we want to see it like with the white squares on the hands and looking, he had the kind of the webs on him too. We wanted to just be that all black with the white eyes. Like, I think there's a lot of room to do something to get that imagery out there, That's one of the things I didn't like about him running around in that Inside Out costume with the black costume, because I was like, oh, is this like the only time we're going to see the black costume? Like,
because it did look cool in the Toby movie. It did look cool.
Yeah,
but I know it wasn't that design,
right? Like the Secret Wars,
still,
maybe Secret Wars, right?
Maybe
that's coming
Secret Wars.
That's where you bring that in. So let's see. What do we got here? Comment wise,
go up.
Yeah, great job, guys, tonight commenting in. We really enjoy you guys being here with us and right coming in and joining the conversation.
Keaton is awesome in it. Dude, go back. I was like, fucking tell her.
Yeah, yeah. Tell MJ.
Rizzo was like, "Oh, she was wearing a Black Dahlia necklace."
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she had the broken one, the broken piece.
Rizzo says the classic suit was really cool.
Loved that.
Joe says there was supposed to be a scene of him signing his Star Wars characters in two to buy the chain.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Nice. Okay, I didn't know that.
Rizzo says, "Yeah, Happy was his remaining connection to Tony, so that sucks."
Yeah, that did suck.
And then Joe goes, "Yeah, that guy is from Ted Lasso by the symbiote."
Yeah, that's Danny. I forget what his name is. Danny something, whatever. But I noticed that too. The bartender is from Ted Lasso.
Joe says, "I did like the rent mention because that's a classic issue for Spidey. Always.
Oh yeah, it's tough to pay the rent, man. Other guys don't have that issue apparently.
It also shows that he's not Tony Stark Spider-Man."
Right. Yeah, he's got his own suit now, and he's sewing it himself. It's no more Stark Tech, no more Iron Spider stuff. So that's kind of a moment there for sure.
Tom Holland is coming back for Spider-Man.
Three more, I
heard.
That's great. I love that.
He goes, "No, dude, he loves playing Spider-Man."
Okay, awesome. Then that's good.
Joe says, "I don't like the Venom movies anyways." And Rizzo says, "Go down."
Riz says, sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't like the current Venom look. I honestly don't like that Venom at all. His voice, the goofiness, no thanks. I actually do like the look. Now, I don't like, we said it earlier, I don't like the Eddie Brock character.
Yeah.
But I do love the way he looks, though. He is big.
Yeah.
You know,
the Venom, a big Venom.
Even Todd McFarlane was like really happy with the look too. He was like, "This is what my Venom was supposed to be, not Spider-Man 3."
Now, the thing though that I remember is that like Eddie Brock was a big buff guy, like a bodybuilder,
almost like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. So when the suit got on him, he was a bigger guy, and it was like he was fighting like a skinny guy.
Yeah.
So that's why there was a contrast. Now in this one, it's like Tom Holland, they don't really focus on that or whatever. I mean, not Tom Holland, Tom Hardy. They don't really focus on that or whatever. No. But he gets big when he's got the suit on. You know what I mean? When the symbiote's on him, which is cool too. Whatever, you know. But yeah, I want to see that fighting contrast as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, good stuff, guys. I appreciate all that. There's a comment here, but I'm not really sure if I understand this comment from.
It's a YouTube one.
Is it a YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you being here. Then we get a second end credit scene, which isn't really an end credit scene. It's more like the trailer that we just saw for
the Multiverse
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So it was pretty much if you went, you got to see the full trailer first there. So obviously Wanda prominent in that trailer, and that was very cool. But really no tie-in to this particular movie. So really just one end credit scene, and then they put a trailer at the end. Which I think has happened in a couple of other movies where there's no real second. It's just like a setup for something else. So that's going to be awesome. Riz says, yeah, I like the building size, but not the cloudy, slippery skin.
And then maybe that's why CM said that when he does attach himself to Spider-Man, that's when they'll finally have the...
Yeah, because Brock does say, he's like, maybe we should go see this Spider-Man guy in New York or whatever. So you're like, oh, like, that's awesome. Yeah. Like, go. Yeah. And I mean, I think people are kind of endeared to Tom Hardy, whatever. And again, not all this might not be for us, but the younger crowd has gotten introduced to this.
You know what? I'm just happy that, even like a character like Venom for Marvel can generate so much, like, revenue. So.
I had no idea about that first one. So
that first one's was almost like $1 billion itself. I was like, damn.
Yeah. But for me, Spider-Man No Way Home, it hits on every level.
Best Spider-Man movie by far.
I think I have to agree. I mean,
man, I don't even know where I would rank it. It's top 3, I would say. I mean, it was such a great fucking movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's, it might be because it's so fresh, but it's like, and maybe it's too soon, but I mean, I've been hearing it, but the best one, like the best Spider-Man movie.
It was a great pacing. It didn't feel like 2 hours and 2.5 hours.
Not at all. I didn't even realize that was the runtime until you said it right now.
I mean, man, it was just the best of Tobey, the best of Andrew, the best of Tom Holland.
Would I buy it? Yes. Would I rewatch it? Yes. And I would also pay to rewatch it in theater again. I would love to see that thing in IMAX.
Yeah, and that was like one of those movies that you have to see in the theater. That if you miss out of seeing it in theater, you're missing out a lot.
Yeah, you definitely are.
Movies.
Yeah. And it was great with the crowd, you know what I mean? Despite, everything's still kind of going on with the Omicron variant, you know what I mean? But hey, it shows the power, right? AA of the movies. It shows the power of
I mean,
something like this character.
I mean, I had bought my tickets like almost 2 weeks in advance. You know, I was like, I'm there.
Yeah, I think I bought mine about 2 weeks in advance too. Yeah, well, especially when I started hearing about them selling out.
And
like
you're gonna start seeing more and more. Probably DC's probably gonna really try and jump on this multiverse, since they're the ones who fucking created the multiverse in the first place.
I think Flashpoint is kind of already touching on that, right?
Well, no, I mean, like, even in the comics, they were kind of like the first ones to even discuss like a multiverse.
Oh, wow,
you know, a
interesting.
Flash of two worlds.
Oh,
was
nice.
like the first one that ever got mentioned like a multiverse.
Yeah.
And now they actually saw it, but they got to get their shit together bad.
Oh, yeah.
They really, really got to get their shit together.
I do think that this Flashpoint is going to do good for them with Keaton coming back and being able to see him in the old Batmobile.
Right now, man, Marvel is just... Man, they're leaving them in the dust.
Yeah,
bad.
Especially with this one. I mean, this was big.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I got to say it. I hate to say it, but, like, you know, Ezra Miller's, you know, Flashpoint, that Michael Keaton, you know, appearance as Batman is going to be the nostalgia that this one is. Yeah. But it's got to be done really well for it to... It can't just be he comes out for a little bit. Like, you got to do it like how they just did this, or it's not going to work. People are going to be pissed off that they got Keaton, but it wasn't like... He doesn't wear the suit or something like that, or he's just Bruce Wayne in the cave. They're gonna be like, "What the fuck? You didn't become Batman? I don't like that." You know. So you know they got to go balls to the wall with that Flashpoint. You know what I mean? Again, which sucks for Ezra Miller because he's getting way shoved in the back with everything about Keaton's Batman. Yep. But yeah, man. I mean,
and see, that was the thing too. Tom Holland was never in the back seat.
No,
he was right up there.
And everyone, like I said, they shared enough. It was good. Yeah. It was a perfect. Pairing of it, you know. So, any final comments in here?
Rizzo says, Owen, what does it mean that a piece of the symbiote was left behind on the bar? We kind of talked about it.
Right.
It's probably going to get its way to Spider-Man. Joe says, it's great that some of these villains get their own movie.
I agree. Yeah.
Joe says, I'm going to go back next week. And
nice.
He says, Keaton is in the upcoming Batgirl movie, too. Okay.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. That's cool. I mean, he's signing on for a couple.
They need to get Keaton to do, they need to do Batman Beyond and get Keaton to do that. I mean, that's like the role he's perfect for now.
At
the older
point.
Bruce Wayne.
Right.
And get like a Terry McGinnis. That's why I thought Robert Pattinson would have made a great Terry McGinnis.
See, and that's what I mean. Sometimes I feel like DC's afraid to pull the trigger on stuff like that.
And it's like, why haven't we gotten a Nightwing movie? You know, they're so in love with Batman. Okay, then you know what?
Shit, Pattinson might have been a good Nightwing.
Exactly.
I would have been okay with that. Yeah.
Him as Dick Grayson or him as Terry McGinnis.
I don't
think good with either.
I think that Warner Brothers lacks the faith in other characters to generate
the
money that Batman and Superman.
But you can still have Batman in there.
Yeah, you can still. You've got plenty of fucking Batman. You know what I mean? Like,
how would we love? We would just love it to see like Keaton talking to Terry McGinnis on the radio, like he does in the cartoon. Well, like Terry, watch your back. You know, you know all that shit, or him, you know, in Nightwing, you know, talking. You know, I mean.
And here's the thing, right? AA. It's like, you know, we talked about like, you know, Tom Hardy and the Tom Hardy Venom, and maybe the things we don't like about those movies. But guys, look at what Marvel Studios has done. They've shown us how they can take other stuff and make it great.
Shang-Chi.
I mean, you know, Shang-Chi. But not only that, but like, okay, they're bringing in, you know, Kingpin and Daredevil. You know, they bring back these, you know, two older Spider-Men or whatever. You know, Garfield's, who was considered maybe not the most popular, they bring him back, and it's like now he's like the most
Everyone's
beloved.
Talking about it,
dude. I just looked up the Steelbook for part 2 or whatever, and it was going for you couldn't even nab one now, over $100.
Oh,
I was like,
shit.
great. I screwed the pooch on not buying that from Best Buy. I mean, but yeah, he's the Spider-Man right now.
Yeah, so, everyone fell in love with him.
You know, all over again. So guys, if there could be not better hands for the Tom Hardy Venom, then it would be Marvel's hands to put it in, for sure. And like I said, you know, you get you do something similar with DC, you know, where it's like, you could probably even bring back George Clooney, but if done right, you know what I mean? If done right, bring him back as an older Bruce Wayne. I mean, if he'd even want to do it, you know.
Look at the fucking fan reaction that Tom Welling gets a lot of times. Whenever Smallville is brought up and Tom Welling is brought up, it's like, oh man, you know. The build up to him, especially the way he looks now,
right?
Wouldn't that be amazing if he popped up? Because he's like 6'3".
Yeah,
you know, he's 6'3", like 200 and something pounds. He's still big, you know. Yeah. Can you imagine seeing him with Henry Cavill? You know, I mean,
like I said, I would have loved to have seen him, you know, flying with the overalls with the wood on his thing, like Kingdom Come, you know, Superman. I think Tom Welling would have killed that Kingdom Come Superman, and I would love to have seen him instead of Brandon Routh in that Kingdom Come suit.
You know what? Even like a lot of people felt like that was like a redemption thing for Brandon Routh too when he came back. It was kind of like he had his like Andrew Garfield moment,
right?
You know, and people were like, "Oh, nice," you know.
I agree, and then they put him in that classic costume. It was very cool too from the Kingdom Come Superman.
But yeah, DC has they just have so much shit. They're so far behind. It's not even funny where Marvel's at right now. It would have to take them to redoing everything again.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe so.
And then it's weird because, like, you know, Ben Affleck has a lot of detractors, a lot of them. Yeah. Christian Bale, I don't know, man, if he's fondly remembered or the movies are fondly remembered.
Yeah. That's one of the things I heard already too. Where do you, the Friday Nighters, the Friday Night Faithful that are out there with us, and you, Double A, I want to hear your thoughts. But I've been hearing some people saying that this Spider-Man No Way Home better than The Dark Knight. And I was like, wow. It stuck in my throat because I was like, there was a time when it was like blasphemy to say anything was better than The Dark Knight. Yeah. And I was like, whoa. I mean, this is pretty fucking up there.
Because I always said, like, if you take off the costumes and you still have that plot, that's a great fucking crime movie. Right. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
but I don't know what that's saying about it as a movie. It's still a great crime movie, yes, but I mean,
but I'm saying, like, if you took out the comic book elements, you know, that's like Heat almost,
right? Know? Yeah, and that's great. That is great. You know what I mean? You know, but I mean, honestly, you can't do that at this movie.
I mean, honestly, when I came out with this one, I was like, wow. I mean, I was already thinking it was my favorite Marvel movie. Whew. And I was thinking, okay, I don't want to say it because it's just fresh. Yeah. Maybe I'm just thinking that because I've always said my favorite Marvel movie, or I always thought the best Marvel movie to me was Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. You know, because the story's so good in Winter Soldier, the action's so good in Winter Soldier.
It's like a spy movie, like an espionage movie. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's the way I kind of see it. Like that's the way I see Dark Knight. It's like it's such a great crime movie. Yeah. Winter Soldier is such a great spy movie. Because, you know, we like a lot of Marvel movies, but they're not the best, you know?
Sure. Again, to me, I agree with you. Winter Soldier is like that because it's like The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. Where it's like, it's the better movie. But I still lean towards Jedi personally because I like the way that's what I mean.
And this one was such a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
It was the best of all the villains. It was the three Spider-Mans teaming up. They all have their own distinct personalities. Mm-hmm. That was great too. Yeah, you know,
they shared the love. It wasn't it
was great screen time. No one really buried the other. You know, no one really outshone the other. Even though everyone's like, you know, Andrew Garfield probably stole the show for a lot of people. You know, but I mean, for me, I thought all three of them were just really great, equal time.
Well, I feel like the filmmakers wanted to put emphasis on saying, like, hey, you were a great Spider-Man. Yeah. I mean, they go as far as to say it like that. And then to give him that moment with MJ is like, wow, like what redemption or whatever, you know. But again, you don't feel like anything's taken away from Toby or from
because the emotion's almost there, like the way it was in Endgame. You know, like man, there was so much fucking emotion in Endgame. Yeah, and you can almost feel a lot of that emotion here in this movie too. Right, it was just kind of like damn.
You know, and for me, it's like sometimes I think about it like too, like Endgame is like my favorite. But is it because of that one scene, you know, at the end or whatever? That great scene, you know? But I'm like, there's parts of that movie, like when they do the whole time travel thing where I felt, I was like, what is this, like a recap?
Yeah, but see, when I was seeing it, though, man, I mean, I was like bursting, you know. Like when him and Cap go to the bunker. Yeah. You know, and he sees his dad and he starts talking to his dad. And it's kind of like, and then he sees Peggy, you know, it's like, damn, you know, like. These are really like,
or even when Cap fights Cap, it was kind of like, you know, I felt like this is a little bit of lip service right here, you know, when he's like, I can do this all day. He's like, I know, like, and I'm like, okay, you know, and like the Hulk thing too. The Hulk thing was very like that, where it was almost like they were laughing at themselves, like, all right, let me smash. Like I'm embarrassed about it, and I was like, what? Like when we first saw that in Avengers, we were like, oh, fucking awesome. You know, but so there were like little parts like that in Endgame, but then I felt for the most part though that it was like, you know, the end was like the Phantom Menace ending where I was like, this made up for everything. Like anything that came before this is so fucking worth it. Like it was so awesome. You know what I mean? But yeah, I did have that thought that you had. Like when I walked in the house,
I mean, by far, I think it's the best Spider-Man. Yeah, by far. Because first off, I was never a big fan of Spider-Man 3.
No, that one sucks.
It had good parts, but I wasn't a big fan of it. Yeah. Amazing Spider-Man 2, no. Yeah. No, that one, That was horrible.
I mean, like I think we said earlier with
good parts,
Terminator Joe's.
But that Harry sucked. Jamie Foxx, this is the way they should have used Jamie Foxx was in this movie.
Yeah.
If he was like this in Amazing Spider-Man 2, it probably would have been a lot better. Yeah. Honestly.
So the old ranking might have been Spider-Man 2,
probably.
Then probably Tobey Spider-Man 1, then Amazing Spider-Man for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, then it's hard between Amazing Spider-Man 2 and then Spider-Man 3. It probably would have been Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I can go Spider-Man 3 and then Amazing Spider-Man for me.
There's some bad stuff in that one that I don't like in that part 3.
I mean, the fight scene was good.
Yeah.
That him and Harry teaming up.
And Sandman is good. Yeah. And maybe we need to revisit Amazing Spider-Man 2, maybe.
Man, okay.
I found a copy, so I need to order a copy. So I'm gonna revisit and get reacquainted with Andrew Garfield. And you should. I'm gonna send you that scene, the Richard Parker scene, just so you can see it. You'll be like, man, they should have left that in.
I'm pretty damn sure. Yeah.
Let's see what the Friday Nighters got to say here. We still got Chris and Joe hanging out this week. We appreciate that. Let me see here. Definitely want Batman Beyond with Keaton. Agree. Good job on that.
That would just be perfect.
Totally. Just says, I want Cara Kelly. That will be awesome. Very Dark Knight with that, right? That's Dark Knight.
Joe says Garfield coming back too, possibly.
I've been hearing.
And then Rizzo says, there's a petition for Garfield to have his chance for a third Spider-Man.
Yeah, I saw that. If he wants it, right?
Joe says DK still numero uno. Okay.
I don't know, Joe. I don't know. I don't think so, man.
Joe says spoilers for Now Watch This, but I don't know if this beats Endgame.
Oh, okay, interesting. Again, it's hard to say in the moment
because
we're in the afterglow, the pillow talk, of Spider-Man No Way Home right now.
But there's not a lot of movies I walk away from where I'm like, wow, I'm extremely satisfied. Like
I agree with you.
That was super fucking satisfying.
I agree with you. And how about this? Where your bar was high and there was a lot of expectations and it met
went
that
higher.
It went higher and beyond.
Yeah.
But don't forget though too, like we said, the movies that we bring up to compare to, that's the bar.
Yeah.
That's Dark Knight. That's Endgame.
Yeah.
So those are the bars. One, in Marvel, one in maybe what people would say all of comic book movies. But I mean, to say that this isn't up there, I don't know. I mean, because like I said, when I couldn't quickly type a response like "fuck that," Dark Knight is, because I was like, ooh,
yeah.
But personally, see, I'm more of a Dark Knight Rises enthusiast than I am for Dark Knight.
I love the third one.
Yeah, although I love the Joker, clearly. I mean, like that goes without saying, and not because he's dead, because it was a great portrayal. But,
oh no, fuck no.
Yeah,
no.
I love the Joe spoilers for Now Watch This. I can't wait for the episode, guys.
Rizzo says, I think it's a different type of movie. They can't be compared against each other. He's talking about Dark Knight and No Way Home.
Interesting thought, Rizzo. But some people might compare them because they would say they're superhero movies. I mean, if you think of it that way, maybe. But let me hear what else we got to say here. Rizzo says, I love Infinity War the best.
Man, that movie is hard too. I remember seeing it. A lot of people were like quiet at
that
the
one. Was like
Empire.
The second coming of the Empire Strikes Back, which is saying
people
a lot.
Were just like fucking stunned.
In fact, it's like more dark. Like I remember, I was with my nephew, and I was like, "Oh man, like we should bring him to this," because I was like a mess. And then the Peter Parker scene, then that one is like, no way.
That's what I'm saying. People were like.
Yeah, he was like Uncle Charlie. They're gonna come back, right? And I was like, I don't have an answer for you. I was like, I hope so. I was like, what the fuck? I was like,
Joe says, dude, when Cap stands against the whole army, that great scene where they kind of back up in the camera and you show Cap just like walking.
Yeah,
it's almost like the Infinity Gauntlet scene where he walks right up to
Thanos' face. Yeah, I mean, I love that fight. I love when Cap gets Mjolnir. And you're like, oh shit, like I fucking knew it. You're like Thor. You're like, and right then he says it, then he gets fucking his face kicked, boom, by Thanos. I mean, that fight, and then he's giving him the business too. Like he's not fucking around. He's beating the shit out of Thanos. Yeah. I was like, that's fucking awesome. So see, just to think about it gets me back in my nerd mode. But.
Yeah. Joe says Amazing Spider-Man 2 scene where spoilers, Gwen dies, hurts. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, the movie has some good spots, but man, overall though, I was really disappointed because I was like, they had Jamie Foxx and they blew it. For me, that was like, man, they blew it. And then with Harry, I mean, they made him look like a fucking like creature, like at the end, and
they made him look like Brewster from fucking Fright Night.
Not Brewster.
Not Brewster. Seems like a stupid name. Fright Night. Somebody helped me out with the Fright Night character, the friend.
Yeah, I wish Roxanne was here right now.
Because Brewster's Charlie. That's his name, right?
Charlie Brewster.
And then the friend is it's like a one-word name, like something stupid. Punk or rock or fucking, I don't know. Anyway, fuck.
I just saw the fucking movie like over and over.
Anyway, he was the Green Goblin to me. I was like, what the fuck? This guy's the Green Goblin. He blows.
Justice, this is right up there. Like I said, Spider-Man is Marvel's #1, and this is his best. I mean, and it goes.
Well, he definitely reclaimed the spot.
He reclaimed it big time.
You know,
I mean, this is why. Like after I saw it, I was like, this is why when you start off with comics, most people always say Spider-Man is their favorite.
Yeah,
because his comics are just the most enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you can get into Spider-Man super quick.
And the look, too, I mean, there's something about the look, and there's, like I said,
and the way they write him, he's so fun. You
Yeah.
know, and it shows in the movies all the time. So
yeah, and you can mimic the powers where you get your kid and put him on the ceiling and make him like crawl and stuff.
Joe says you and I like Dark Knight Rises because we still cry at the end. You cried at the end of Rises?
Oh yeah, I cried at the end.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, man. Like,
and see, that was another too. Like, man, I was like so sure Joseph Gordon-Levitt was gonna be fucking Nightwing.
I
was like, oh, great. I was like,
mean,
cool. We're finally gonna like leave Batman. We're gonna go Nightwing.
Yeah.
And nope.
I thought that.
They
I mean, you know
did.
what? DC, like, get on that still.
DC
I'm
was
still
like-
for that. When
DC was like, oh no, that's a Nolan verse. We
Yeah.
have our own DC verse, and we're not going to use him. I
See,
was
don't
like,
be afraid.
oh.
With Flashpoint, you got to break down those walls. Just have Joseph Gordon-Levitt walk into a movie with
And
the
he
costume
was perfect
on.
at that time. When was
he
Dark
had just-
Knight Rises? Back in 2008 already, which is already like 12 years ago.
I don't know, but once I saw Joseph Gordon-Levitt kick ass in the hallway in Inception, I was like, all right,
No,
you can be
I was happy
Nightwing.
when he
Let's
said
go.
he was like gonna be like. I was like, oh shit! He gave him the cave.
Mm-hmm.
He gave him everything. We're gonna see the fucking Blue Arrow. Robin. I was like, but nope.
It's not too late.
Evil. Thank you, Rizzo.
Evil. Fuck.
Evil.
I get stuck on this stupid ass.
Rises was 2012. Well, that's already going to be 10 years ago. So, I mean, he's not as young as he was 10 years ago.
I mean, you see who that is right there, Dylan? That's something that DC, with this Flashpoint shit, whatever they're doing, they could drop that in. They could be like, they could show a thing of Nightwing and it be Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And
I
it'd be
would
like,
fucking pop.
Oh,
if all of a sudden
shit.
he came in for like 10 minutes,
shit.
kicked some ass, and like,
yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. I would think that would be fucking rad. I'd be like, that's awesome. That's awesome. So they got a lot of room to do that shit.
Joe says, fuck yes, Batman is sacrificing himself for us, and of course we cried. But he didn't sacrifice himself. He was greedy, and he still lived.
I cried because of the Robin scene.
Yeah,
So what are you talking about? Yeah.
I think Joe was thinking when he sacrificed himself.
and Alfred when he's like,
when they're rich in Paris.
And he gives him a toast. Yeah, he gives it.
Yeah. There's nothing.
I was just happy to see the butler, had made it out.
Yeah.
I could give less about the fact that Bruce was now banging Selena Kyle.
Damn.
But yeah, let's see. Evil Ed in front of
Evil, yeah, fucking Evil Ed was fucking Harry.
Yeah, it was fucking Harry, and I was like, wow, you couldn't have gave him a mask? Like, that kid sucks.
Yeah,
man,
that wasn't a good Harry. I mean, how did you feel about Franco? Did you like him as Harry?
Yeah, I didn't like the look when he took over. See, there was another opportunity. They could have gave him the green, or the green and purple, like added the purple, like accents or whatever. Right. But nah, man, Franco was a pretty good Harry, man. I hate to say it, and I know he's not like everyone's favorite person.
Right now he's shit. That's probably why we didn't see him.
Yeah, which sucks. It sucks. I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the whole story with all his allegations. But I don't know. I don't know. Is it just allegations? Is the man, if he's not in jail, is he guilty? I don't know. I know it sucks. People like that, they don't come back, right? It's just that's it. You're canceled, quote unquote, right? Double A. So, him, Kevin Spacey.
Oh, Kevin Spacey though, that was
Cosby.
Yeah, that shit was real.
Weinstein. Weinstein.
Yeah, those guys deserve it.
It's over.
Yeah.
But well, shit. You, the Friday Nighters, the Friday Night Faithful, any final thoughts? Anything else you might want to say? Thoughts you might have about Spider-Man No Way Home, where it's at, where it's going, where you'd like to see it go, anything like that? And I'll put the same question to you, Double A, before we wrap it up. Anything that you'd like to, where you see it going, or where you'd like to see it going, or final thoughts on just the movie itself, No Way Home?
Send me it. I wouldn't mind seeing that in the fourth one. And then
you'd go that over Hobgoblin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let him maybe bulk up some more, lose weight some more. Because He lost 100 pounds.
Yeah,
but
I
he
saw
still
him.
looks big though.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe do something still first.
How about in the first act of the movie, like Ned's with MJ?
I thought that's actually what they were.
Yeah,
Right.
but then he's like abusive and
okay.
turned by the Hobgoblin,
Yeah.
Oscorp. Well, whatever, he's gonna invent
Yeah.
something like the Oscorp shit. Then he goes,
Yeah.
then it's like time for Spidey to swoop. That's pretty dark. It's a dark way to go
Yeah.
with it.
And then 5 and 6, I wouldn't know where to go. I would like to keep them really solo though. Solo Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
No more like kind of like outside.
Okay.
Just keep it in the Spider-Verse.
Don't put him with the Avengers on.
No,
I mean, there's room.
I want solo Spider-Man movies. That's
Do
why
you
I
want
enjoyed
you
about
want
the
Craven?
Tobey.
Bring Craven in.
Man, but Tom Holland's not right. That'd be perfect for Toby.
Yeah, like an older Spider, or even Andrew.
Or
Andrew now.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
He's
I can't see Craven doing Tom Holland. I can't.
because he's got that younger look.
Yeah,
right?
because Spider-Man's already married with MJ in that storyline.
Yeah, that's an
And
interesting.
he's already
one.
a veteran. you
Yeah,
know?
it'd be cool to see it with Toby or with
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield. I would like to see that. Craven's a great character to bring out. I think you could definitely do Scorpion with Tom Holland. You can do Shocker.
Sinister Six, maybe in the film afterwards.
Yeah, it seems like that could be there. You know what I mean? Or you do the Venom. I don't know if you do the whole Venom saga, but you do the black suit.
And now that has to be more than 3 movies.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah. I would love to see, like I said, Tom Holland in the kind of the classic black, the flat black suit. You know what I mean? And that great scene everyone talks about from that Spider-Man Back in Black series where he goes up against Kingpin. I mean, you've got the potential for that now that we've got the Kingpin there. So
maybe I'd like to see him in maybe Daredevil. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I would love to see that too. Throw the Punisher.
Them two have always been a team.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to see that.
I picked up. There was a great issue like months ago, and it's just like Daredevil's kind of like in trouble, and him and Spider-Man they kind of patched up whatever beef they had. They had some sort of beef, and they like just swing around the city and talk and chat like on a rooftop for like hours.
Sounds like my kind of issue.
Yeah, and they're just kind of like it's just a really cool issue. It kind of shows like their team up again.
Nice.
So.
Send me that one. Send me the cover of that one so I can
Okay.
know. Let's see here. Riz says, has your thought? What about Sinister Six?
Joe says Kevin Smith went live against y'all boys.
Oh wow, how did we do?
He goes, I stayed here though.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Joe. Yeah.
And then Joe goes, Ned's powers.
Yeah, that's true, right? We did. They kind of showed the magic stuff. Maybe that's where they draw the Hobgoblin
or the Demo Goblin.
Ooh, yeah, Demo Goblin.
Right?
Hey, nice pull right there. I forgot about Demo Goblin.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Rizzo says Craven has to be the last film.
Yeah, definitely.
Goes, what about Sinister Six? Yeah. Do we get another Goblin? Yeah.
I mean, I think so. I think that
because Defoe's like 66 already too. I was like, holy shit. I mean, he didn't look like it, but I mean,
yeah. Who?
Willem Dafoe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't even tell. I saw a mock-up where someone did, like, the guy that plays Ned mocked up as Hobgoblin, where all he really did was, like, tweak a few features on his regular face, and I was like, oh, he does look kind of goblinish already.
All
right. I was like, all right,
Okay.
He's got the look, spooky, give him that orange hood,
Rizzo says, let's do 9 movies. Fuck
yeah,
it.
I'm with you, Riz. Let's do it. I'll
and
take on 9.
Joe says, do we see some X-Men?
Spider-Man and the X-Men?
I don't know.
I don't think they need to cross over. The New York connection is there.
Yeah.
Maybe you could have a couple of mutants pop in or out.
And then Rizzo says, what about Punisher showing up in a Spidey movie?
I like that. I like that too. You know what I mean?
And Joe says that's why the cartoon was so great. Yeah. I mean, man, they put everyone in the Spider-Man cartoon.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, and again, I like the idea of it being like that New York, that area, like Spider-Man's here, Daredevil's
Punisher
here.
just wouldn't work out with those two guys, though.
Yeah, I don't know how the story would go. You know what I mean? Like it would have to be kind of like
Punisher's everything in Spider-Man's against.
Yeah.
Daredevil can probably take him a little bit of his shit, but Spider-Man, I don't think so.
It would just be interesting to see. I mean, like I would wonder what type of villain they have to team up against in order to. But what's great is that like where
send Punisher to Madripoor and meet Logan.
Nice,
right?
I'm down with that. I'm definitely down with that.
Fucking team up.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman, John Pertwee.
Bring that in. I want to see that movie right now. I mean, that's it. AA for me. I've already said what I had to say.
Loved it.
Absolutely
We'd
loved
go see it. We'd buy it.
I go watch it again. I'll go watch it again in IMAX or D-Box or whatever they got. You know what I mean? I already saw it regular one time, so I'm good with that. You know what I mean? But then Riz says Marvel Knights. Love that. Yeah, I definitely want John Bernthal to stay on too. Joe, agree with you there.
And then Riz says I want them to do a dark brand of Marvel.
Yeah,
Morbius, Ghost Rider, Blade.
I almost feel like that. Going. Yeah, I feel like that Sonyverse is kind of like that. Like
do your horror. Moon Knight. You got Oscar Isaac ready as Moon Knight. Get that fucking horror thing going on.
I'm ready to see all that good stuff, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Guys, we already mentioned it. Next week will be Hawkeye. We want to get into it, chop it up with you post Christmas. But
and that'll be already a week already, right?
Oh yeah, it'll be a week. Yeah. And let us know if you guys want to hear us talk about the Matrix. Maybe we'll just talk about a little bit in the beginning of the show, whatever. I want to hear your thoughts. I know you'll have watched it by then. Yeah. So. Yeah, but guys, this is our last show before the big day is coming up. The big man in the red suit's coming.
I hope you got your kids, nieces, nephews, whatever they needed. I hope you got all that taken care of. Guys, be safe out there. It's getting bad out there again. It's almost, people are saying it's March 2020 all over again.
Oh, scary. That's a scary time.
New York's already shutting down some areas.
Yeah, I heard about the Broadway shows. I heard SNL almost got shut down.
Yeah, so please be careful. Please wear your mask. Please get a booster.
I gotta go get my booster. I'm gonna go get
anything that can help you fight off whatever crap's going on, and have a great Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
I hope you guys, if you're off, enjoy your days off. Don't stress too much about family. Just be happy. Put your legs on the couch. Watch your favorite Christmas movies.
Make it a time for enjoying one another, appreciating one another, loving one another. Put some cookies out for the man in red, for your kiddos, for the things that you didn't get them that Santa can bring them if they've been good. Joe says Merry Christmas, fellas. Stay safe. Same to you, Joe. You and your family. Riz says Merry Christmas
Merry
to
Christmas.
Joe and to us. And so Merry Christmas to you also, Riz, to you and your family as well. But yeah, I second AA sentiments here. Make it a great Christmas, man. Stay safe. Enjoy one another. And we're not going to tell you Happy New Year because we'll see you before then.
We'll see.
But yeah, Merry Christmas. And something we like to say at the end of every show, guys, is that if there's something that you want to do, something that you want to accomplish, a hope, a dream, seize the day. Today is the day to make that dream for yourself happen. I guess much like Kevin Feige had the dream of having 3 Spider-Men in one movie, and he made that shit happen, and it was absolutely stellar. And the other thing is that do whatever it takes. Cap says that, in Endgame, when they go back, they got to do whatever it takes. And again, if you thought that Marvel was pumping the brakes, they certainly are not. They're full steam ahead and doing whatever it takes to continue making the Marvel Universe absolutely fantastic. We're super happy for the redemption of Andrew Garfield, which was maybe unwarranted, but I mean, here he is now, and he's kicking butt, so we appreciate that. We can't wait to see it again. Spider-Man: No Way Home. Joe also says, you read my Snyderverse comment.
Hey guys, I'm gonna leave with this. Snyderverse is still my jam. So.
Okay, fine, fair enough. All right, well, we could take a mention of that there, Joe. I don't know where that ranks in the lexicon of comic book movies. That'd be a great episode to cover, though. Overall,
take off the first hour. It'll be all right.
Yeah, a little tightening up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. But guys, for myself, CM Chuck.
AA. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. This has been Just Another Friday Night. Good night.